Yeah, no. In Papua New Guinea and other places where cannibalism is sort of known, it's called long pork because humans apparently taste a bit like pig. And there is a theory that one of the reasons that Islam in particular, and also Judaism, are not particularly big on eating pig is that, and they also scream quite like humans do. And so that there is a theory that this all stems from a cultural aversion to certain cannibalistic barbaric tribes.
That actually does make sense though, because a lot of times the heart that they use for like heart transplants is a pig heart, so it's probably very.
I was going to say they have very close DNA to us.
Yeah, but I would assume that humans vary a lot. I mean, there's some really fat humans, and fat equals flavor. So,
is Lizzo flavorsome?
I would assume. I mean, if that is flavor, she's got to be like a delicacy. But only after she's been barbecued.
She's a 3 Michelin star flavor.
That's the pork belly of humans, you know?
I'm looking at that. Oh, do you guys know that that little that TikTok clip where the fat girl's like pole dancing and then it cuts to a rotisserie chicken?
That's a good one, yeah.
Dude, oh my god, that clip has so much more like that clip is
Lizzo
so much more funny.
It's more like pork scratchings. That's one for Brits. Moving on.
And it does sort of like doesn't meat sort of taste depending on what you've been feeding it, like the flavor of the meat can change, right? And also like how stressed the animal is when it dies. So theoretically there are lots of different kinds of flavor of human. It
well, that's where
depends. Like, Americans
comes in,
probably
right?
all taste like
it's like
actually Americans probably do taste quite a lot like Big Mac burger sauce or something.
Yeah, we're probably very similar to like, standard supermarket hamburger meat. I would assume.
It's like pineapple. I
can only imagine you go to the supermarket. It's like human 30% fat, 50% fat, 127% fat.
With the stress. Wait, what does a stressful animal taste like?
So there's a theory.
My culinary knowledge is almost entirely based off of Hannibal Lecter, but according to Hannibal Lecter, a stressed animal releases certain neurochemicals which make the meat more acidic to the taste.
Tough.
So if you stress them out, I think it actually is a thing when you are butchering, you're not supposed to kill like stressed animals if you can avoid it because they just don't taste as good.
Unless they're children.
That's why.
Well, no, that's why what is it
cows get like a bolt to the
Japanese
back of the head.
Kobe beef. Kobe beef is like fed like milk and like massaged and like it's this least stressful animal of all time.
What
is a Kobe beef cow?
Yeah, Kobe
can I be
massaged?
I mean, you'll eventually be turned into food source. So if you want to be a Kobe beef,
I'll be treated like a king. Eat me up, dog.
You might actually be too old though. This might be the one time where we're gonna say
I'm
get
too
younger.
mature. I am an elder now.
Apparently, according to Waylon Bacifus, it's not massage, it's a myth. I want to pretend that it's not a myth.
I'm going to ignore your comment and just believe that they're massaged anyway.
There's just like massage parlors for Kobe beef cows just all over Japan.
They walk in, they get hung upside down, and then they're just treated.
Anyway, the Oscars.
Always treat your animals nicely before you eat them is the lesson from that. But should probably belatedly say hello to chat. We're talking Haiti for some reason. Haiti came up, and Haiti has cannibalism now because that's progressive or something. And so we're talking about eating people.
Is that legal
they're
there
probably.
Now?
No, it's
I don't think it's not really legal. It's just that there isn't any law anymore. So it's kind of de facto. It's what libertarians want. All right. That you get away with the state, and now everything's legal, and that includes eating people and drugs, everything. It's all great.
Murder's not
I love how
allowed.
you went eating people, then drugs. It's like that. The drop off is very, very big from that.
If you see a guy die, you're allowed to eat him, but if you kill him, that's illegal.
Isn't it like all fallout from like what was it, the hurricanes and stuff? Like essentially, like these gangs took over after the hurricanes destroyed Haiti.
Well, sort of. I mean, it's a deeply fucked place, basically. I mean, like Trump actually wasn't wrong to call it a shithole country, except insofar as it isn't really a country anymore. So, no, it's always been a complete mess. Like way back, the revolution it was founded in was a complete mess. Everything's been a mess since. The hurricanes did cause a huge amount of trouble. The United Nations went in to try and save everyone, and put cholera in the water supply and killed everyone because the United Nations is great. Then the Clinton Foundation went in and made lots of money from gold, and probably allegedly also killed lots of people. And now they've decided, sod the government, we're just going to let cannibals take charge because this is really just like Fallout or Rapture from BioShock. It's just it's a great model of how societies collapse. There probably is a segue from Haiti and cannibalism because Frank Herbert, who wrote Dune, was a big believer that the natural state of mankind that mankind always organizes itself into is effectively a kind of feudalism, which is pretty much what you see in Haiti at the moment, because once you do away with like government impositions, people will organize themselves into these very small, tight-knit social structures, which are quite hierarchical and which don't necessarily have universalizable moral standards. So maybe this is actually part of the Dune universe, and we're heading up for the Butlerian Revolution.
It's a really, really, really deep cut marketing campaign, is what it is.
Yeah. This is we're going to turn Earth into, is it Seleucia Secundus, the evil prison planet that the Sardaukar come from, and the Haitians are leading the way in this, in like blood rituals and human sacrifice. That is an attempt at a segue.
They kill people on government grounds. They do that.
One last thing before we move on.
I like how your
Haiti.
avatar's smiling as you say that.
Well, because we're on cannibal. Like, how do you segue off of fucking cannibalism? What am I meant to do?
One last thing before we segue off of Haiti. Have you ever seen the picture of the border of it between it and Dominican Republic? You can like essentially see exactly where they stop. It looks like a map, like a real like topographical
like a
map.
painted line on the ground.
It because it's like it's been completely deforested on like the Haiti side, and the Dominican Republic side is like fine. So it just you could see it as if it was a drawn line on the map. That's all I have. There's no more to that.
Were the trees felled to provide wood for the fires? For the boys?
Yeah, I mean, when you have to cook a bunch of people, you gotta deforest the forests.
That makes sense to me. Deforestation for cannibalism. Why not? Technically, the Oscars is on our first on the list of things I think we were going to talk about. At least it's like it's first in the title, which I guess makes it first on the list. I'm trying to think of a segue between cannibalism and the Oscars, but I think Vex has already done the adrenochrome thing. So celebrities eating babies maybe is our segue, but the Oscars also happened. Should we start with the Oscars? I don't give a fuck about the Oscars. Does anyone know what happened at the Oscars last night?
No, Oppenheimer won. That was it.
Oppenheimer won 7 awards. Godzilla won its first ever Oscar in the
John Cena went beefcake.
Yeah, John Cena was naked for no reason.
That was crazy.
Well, apparently it was like recreating something from like 30, 40 years ago where somebody ran out and it was a streaker for on the Oscars.
Oh, it wasn't white man humiliation.
Well, it was that.
Isn't it a part of his new movie that's coming out? Because he plays some sort of.
Was it an ad? That's crazy.
No, because you know how his Twitter feed has kind of exploded because he started following everybody. He's following.
Wait, doesn't follow me?
Yeah. He started following like 100,000 people. Like he started following me.
He follows 750,000 people.
Yeah, it's some insane. Like he just follows.
How the hell? There must have been.
I think it's for. So he's been posting things about OnlyFans, and I think it's in relation to a new movie project. So I think this is all like kind of.
I think he does have an OnlyFans.
Have you signed up for it?
No, but man, have I been tempted? He keeps posting really great teasers on Twitter. And then last night, my goodness.
Is that because the acting work has dried up? Is he going like
porn?
OnlyFans?
Not really. I mean,
no. He has a movie for Netflix coming out.
He has a new movie.
A new movie.
Peacemaker's filming later. This year.
On the way.
Look at the sad face. Bummer.
I'm assuming like, with all the steroids he took, that he didn't have to have anything particularly big to hide his penis.
Oh Lord.
Well, I mean, it's a thing that happens, isn't it? I don't understand what steroids do, but I believe that that's the thing that they do. As in that they're often
try it.
taken by people with very small penises who keep very small penises as a result.
They enlarge your heart and make your penis tiny.
Oh.
I know they shrink your testicles.
Well, yeah,
Ah.
essentially they're no longer needed. You're getting artificial testosterone.
Right,
so
right. They don't need
they
to
just dry up,
produce
basically.
testosterone, so they.
You get your testicles in a pill form, or in a needle.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But yeah, Oppenheimer won pretty big. Christopher Nolan finally won his first Oscar. Robert Downey Jr. won as well for Oppenheimer.
Is that his first Oscar as well?
It was his first Oscar, not first nomination. I think it's his third, because I think he's nominated for Chaplin before, and then Tropic Thunder, and then this one.
Yeah.
It might be his fourth. I might be wrong. Chat will probably correct me. You know what's really funny is sometimes when I feel about the Oscars, I don't care about them unless the person I want wins. Then I'm like, yeah, good. And
positive confirmation.
Right, yeah, like absolute bias.
Affirmation.
Well, because they meant something once upon a time. And like it is nice to see Nolan win, and it's nice to see Robert Downey Jr. win. The only problem is like the Oscars do feel sully. Like I remember when I was younger, I would never miss it. I would never miss the Oscars. I always liked watching it. Now I don't care. I caught all of this information on Twitter, like the clips and all that stuff. From what I gathered and what I pieced together, it was an incredibly safe episode. I guess an incredibly safe year for the Oscars, especially after last year's massive slap scenario.
Just shame. They should have played it dirty again. That was
yeah, I know. But what's really funny is like they didn't go the hyper diverse route or anything and like make sure to award. It's like who won was supposed to win this year. So it was safe, but like almost like a breath of fresh air that it was safe this year.
I will disagree with you on one win. I don't think that Billie Eilish song should have won Best Song.
No, I think that she just won because she was the
Yeah.
best of the batch, but it wasn't a good batch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
like
it's
because she performed it as well, and even just watching the performance, I'm like, she's just whispering and like half crying. This is not interesting or moving at all compared to everyone was like up in arms and excited when Ryan Gosling was on stage, right? Just the comparison, I'm just like, how do you let Billie Eilish win over Ryan Gosling's song? It's quite literally a cultural phenomenon in itself.
Yeah,
there was that one year where the song "Hard Out Here for a Pimp" won, and I think that kind of just
they don't care. They're just like the song here. Give it to Billie Eilish.
It's that award is probably one of the least important ones in a lot of people's eyes because there's an entire award ceremony for music. So that one's just
that is true.
That's the like toy section of like the grocery store.
It's like the obligation.
I think it's
obligation.
Yeah, I think it's a thing that like no one cares about. But if you're a musician and you win that, it's like a nice little sub. You know, it's like a compliment.
An easier way. I think it's an easier way for people to get EGOTs, to get the 4 awards. If you're not an actor, so like if you're I think that's really what it is. They put these kind of categories in the various awards, so it's a possibility you could get it.
I do think, even though I didn't like the movie, I mean the I Am Ken song probably should have. That was nominated. I didn't even know that was nominated.
Yeah. It was, yep.
Oh well, I'm really shocked that didn't win.
Oh, but can you imagine the uproar if that had won over Billie Eilish? Another man taking an award that's given to a woman, but no, the man comes in and takes it. That's just evil, patriarchal bullshit of the sort we have to do away with.
Why didn't it win? It was from a 1.4 billion grossing movie.
Well,
surely that was a shoo-in for winning.
Yeah, but
Billie Eilish was also
money doesn't make quality, and they're pretending like everything's about quality. So you can't just award the movie that made the most money. I think like Billie Eilish is incredibly talented. I genuinely think that she's probably like one of the best artists out of her generation. And her brother. And
she must be talented because she always looks like she's completely out of it. She always
I hate listening to her interviews. I can't even stand it. She sounds like such an airhead. That's so fucking stupid.
She's dreaming of being poor again. That's her problem.
I don't think she ever was poor. Her family's
Supposedly,
already.
No, she comes from
was-
wealth.
Yeah, she
She's
came from
dreaming
wealth.
of being poor. She's like, I wonder what that's like.
Yeah, she said once she wanted to be poor again.
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 I remember
Man,
looking
what?
this up
Because
a
Well,
her
it's
while
allowance
ago.
was only like $1,000 a week, probably when she was like 10.
Unbelievable.
I remember
Okay.
looking it up a while back. It was something like for a few weeks she lived in a car and then she was rich again. It was something like that. It was insane. It's like, oh yes, I was poor
For
I was
2
looking-
weeks.
For 2 weeks.
Okay.
They didn't even let me file for unemployment. I didn't wait long enough before I was rich again.
Oh, holy moly! A platoon.
Oh, that's
Platoon's got
very
all the
generous of you.
members now.
All of the members. Grendel Vivat gives to 50 little platoon memberships. Thank you very much, sir. That is most generous, and I'm sure that all the people who have been gifted those memberships are incredibly thankful as well.
You need to make them. The next one up has to be big platoon memberships.
I really should have big platoon memberships. I've done nothing with. Well, and mind you, at least I've turned memberships on, unlike somebody else on this panel who keeps getting told to put his fucking memberships on and still hasn't done it because he hasn't got anything prepared for it. Like I got anything prepared for it. My membership perks don't exist. They're great. Everyone should be a member. You get nothing, but you're part of the community.
Give Platoon money, guys.
I'm promising.
I can make you
nothing.
some stuff to use in chat. Like,
Wait, do you
think
not
I
even
did-
have emotes?
I did, but I
Yeah,
just
some emotes and
I
stuff.
just had to throw in whatever came to mind. So it was like Luke drinking tit milk and
yeah.
and Iron Man eye rolling, but it's so small that you can't really see it. So because I have absolutely no visual talents whatsoever, so I have no idea what to make for that sort of thing. But hey, at least memberships are on. Mr. Brown needs to turn his on still. There we are. But yes, thank you very much for that. That's an incredibly generous gift.
Amazing.
Billie Eilish, I did something actually came to mind about her, and it's completely gone. Yeah, so fuck that. Never mind. What else? What else happens in the Oscars?
Well, Oppenheimer basically swept. The only one that didn't win of the majors was, well, I guess the 4 majors are director, picture, actor, actress, or I guess 5. And the original screenplay is usually tossed in there. And it won.
What was it? Emily Blunt didn't win.
She didn't win, right?
I didn't see the other movie.
Wait, who won? Emma
Um,
Stone.
The person for the holdovers won.
Yeah, no,
Best
Emma Stone
Supporting
won
Actor.
Best
that's right.
Actress, not
Yeah,
Supporting
yeah.
Actress.
Yeah.
Vex, didn't you have something about that situation?
Oh, so do you guys know who David Jaff is?
I saw your post about this.
Should I
earlier.
pull
was
this
laughing my
up?
ass.
If you
I was
want,
laughing my ass
sure.
off.
So
Who's
David
David?
Jaff is a video game developer and designer. Most people know him because of his work on like God of War and Twisted Metal, but he's also a raging liberal bundle of sticks. So he decided to post a tweet to Twitter today because everyone's really, whenever it's a non-white person that wins something, it's great, right? So he
course.
posted this to Twitter today. I'm like, oh my God, bro. Like, you're great entertainment no matter what. So I appreciate you just for that. So was Devon Joy, I don't remember her name. But in her speech, if you guys watched it, she opens it by saying, like, I thank God for this and like for my mother. And then he just makes fun of the fact that she thanked God in it, that it's okay
What?
she won because she's black, but fuck religion of any kind.
You're okay to win the award, but you mentioned God. That's not allowed.
You cleared it through this white guy.
It like it
I'm giving
absolutely
you the
wild.
pass, but this is the
So
last
wild.
time.
He didn't even watch the movie and he's praising her win.
What?
Yeah,
I'm so
I remember.
glad
I
you
remember
won this
reading this.
award.
Where is it? It's somewhere in here. It's like I didn't
That's
watch the
so
movie, but I heard she's good or something along those lines. So it's probably well deserved. Oh, here it is. It's right at the top. It's yeah. I have not seen The Holdovers. Here it's amazing. She is wonderful. Sounds like it was very well deserved award. How the hell would you know?
Yeah, I
Thanks,
heard it
Nickel.
was good, so I'm glad she won.
So I'm running with that. Right on. Oh,
This is a consistent thing. I think last year when Forspoken came out, which was like just a critical failure on all fronts, he did a stream and he was like, she's not black enough, but we need
What?
representation. The main character.
She doesn't
I'm
have
not black enough,
Yeah,
but
white
I guess
guy.
she'll
She's not
do,
black enough.
maybe.
She'll do.
She doesn't have the exaggerated swagger of a black teen.
I mean, I have some ever so slightly sneaky sympathy, only because I find it incredibly irritating and cringy. It happens when sports people do this as well, when they thank God that their piddling little sports team happened to get a lucky penalty in the final minute. And it's like, do you really think of all the big concerns God probably has on his plate at this point, that he's really, really invested in the outcome
He
of
might
like
be.
West
He might
Brom
be, yeah.
v Burnley?
We know he's
I mean,
petty, so
Listen,
God
maybe
was
he's
his
like,
checked
you
his
know,
ways.
he's a
checked
sports
his
fan.
prayer list the night before. He checked his prayer list, saw you in it, and he was like, I got to get this done.
Yeah, remember in Bruce Almighty, like sometimes he just clicks yes and responds to all the emails like that. There you go.
The
Yeah.
best ones are when fighters thank them for giving. It's like, thank you, God, for giving me the strength to beat the shit out of this guy.
Thank you for beating this man within an inch of his life.
I think it's just one of Christopher Hitchens' lines that when people say there but for the grace of God go I, what they mean is there by the grace of God went somebody else. Which is always the other thing. You know, if God favors you because you won the award, does that mean that God watched your other Oscars contenders and thought, no, that film's a bit shit, you don't deserve that award, I'm going to give it to whoever the hell this is for this film that I've never heard of?
God watched all the movies and was like, all right, who am I letting win? Who's the wild card here?
I mean, he could. He's omniscient.
Platoon, what was your
omnipotent.
example? What was your example of a sporting event that what two teams did you pick?
West Brom and Burnley, like two of the most boring, pointless
Could you
teams I
have
could
picked
think of.
any more of obscure teams?
No, that's the point. They have to be obscure because if you thank God, does God place bets on like lower tier English football? I don't know what the American football equivalent is because all American sports are obscure to
we don't
anyone
have
outside
we don't
America.
have we don't really have like a second tier. We have like a spring league, but we don't have like a second tier. We don't do the promotion relegation system. So
Oh well, there you go. The Boston City Founders versus the Chicago Teachers Union. I don't know.
Hello?
Yeah, one of those.
It's a court trial now?
I just
Teachers union versus the
I want
state.
to start a stream where I just make like Platoon watch any American sport and he just talks. I'm just gonna
I'm gonna have him watch Super Bowl 51, and I'm gonna like give him a play-by-play on this.
Dude, getting him in a call and saying, hey,
wait a minute, Super Bowl
watch this
51.
game.
No, we're not letting you do a Patriots Super Bowl. Get the hell out of here.
Fuck you. Yeah, we are. That would be the one right there.
I picked the most obscure one
that
possible.
I predicted the score on correctly. By the way, that's the key part to that. I was correct.
Anyway,
Congratulations.
Anyway,
Well, I mean, was taking this further, was God correct in that Godzilla -1 should win for best special effects?
yeah, I agree.
Godzilla,
God is in the name. He was like, this got to win.
He's like, hey, that's my boy.
I was laughing my ass. I saw a meme about like 3 days ago, and it was a guy punching his like TV, and it said when atheists realize they're watching Godzilla and not Sciencezilla, and for some reason I couldn't hold my shit.
I think you posted that. Yeah,
I did. I couldn't hold my shit. I just kept laughing every time I saw it. Like I would open up my Twitter. It would be the thing I posted most recently, and I would laugh just as hard every single time.
I just imagine like Sciencezilla is just like a giant Neil deGrasse Tyson. He just stomps around saying, "Well, actually."
Well, actually, the worms in Dune actually don't work. Why do they swim like that in the sand?
Sciencezilla would be fun. I'd definitely pay to see Sciencezilla. I'm sure it would win all of the awards.
Godzilla X
the funny thing about that is like, I think Godzilla's win is absolutely, they deserved it, but I also don't think they had the best special effects of last year.
I agree.
That was it was definitely awarded based on what they did with what they had, which was
It
incredible.
was definitely it was a dollar for dollar best.
What was the best?
Probably the creator was the nicest, best looking one, but the movie wasn't that good. The movie wasn't that good, so that's probably why.
But then, theoretically, you could have a really good-looking shit film. But if the award is just for visual effects, then they don't really have to
Guardians
judge.
looks really good.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, Guardians looked
Especially
way
Rocket.
above other MCU crap that had been pumped out.
Is
the
there a
last 2 years.
category for mocap acting? I know that they were talking about it a
Ooh,
couple years ago.
I
Did
don't-
they ever
I don't think
actually end
so.
up adding it?
You know what
No.
really sucks is if they do, they did not yet. But if they do, like it's
Give
it's
Andy
only in
Serkis one.
response because of the fact they missed Andy Serkis all those
Yeah.
years.
Well,
ago.
then they would just end up giving him like a legacy award for it. So
Yeah,
it would-
probably. It's like when they added on, you can nominate up to 10 movies now instead of 5, and that was because The Dark Knight didn't get nominated. It's like, well, that's not going to fucking fix what you did. You didn't nominate The Dark
That's
Knight in
so
2008. It will never be renominated. Yeah.
They need
one of
a
those
they need a
scenarios.
legacy committee, legacy Oscars, like things we missed years ago. We're gonna go back and try again.
Yep. The Oopsie
That actually would
Awards.
probably be more interesting than the current Oscars if they were
the
they would have to
Fix
put
It
together-
Oscars.
Yeah, like you have to go. They go back like 15, 20 years or something, and
The
it's like we're gonna
fucking
redo
second
this
chance.
one.
Watch
All right,
every
it-
movie that came out like 50 years ago, and they were like, "All right, these are the ones that deserve it."
All right, Oscars hype then. In 1994, or was it 95? I think it was 94. Who would win then if they were to do a redo? Because Forrest Gump won. And that year, Pulp Fiction and Shawshank Redemption and Forrest Gump were all nominated. For Best
Shawshank should have won.
Ooh.
I think
Shawshank.
Shawshank of those three should have won.
Really?
They're all so good though. That's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I actually
Yeah,
think
you don't
Forrest
again.
Gump should not have won
Agreed.
Best Picture. I love that movie, but it's just not the best out of those. three.
Jedi.
I just remember it being really annoying because it's so happy and cheerful, and I hate that kind of thing.
I watched it when I was a child.
Pulp Fiction, the only reason it didn't do so well with critics is because a lot of them were confused by it. Because halfway through the movie,
It was the GIMP scene.
well, but halfway through the movie,
that was the one that did it right there.
John
Yeah.
Travolta dies, and then he was billed as the main character, and he dies.
But he
halfway
is.
Through,
He's
but
throughout
it's-
the whole movie.
but it's the end of the movie that
Yeah.
is in the middle. So a lot of critics were really confused by that.
But I thought,
They couldn't connect their brain
Vex,
cells.
you're
Like,
a
why did
nipple.
this happen?
Sorry?
yeah,
You're
Vex,
a
you are a
nipple.
nipple.
Wait, what?
You
Your
must have got
picture's
censored.
gone.
Your
Oh.
avatar, it's a nipple. It's doing my.
Oh, did you
Okay,
have your swastika nipples on? That's probably why.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just
that might
deleted
be.
it.
Hmm.
Oh,
No,
good.
she,
That
They
and the
disappeared
naked
for a
John Cena.
moment.
I will just say this: that YouTube does not want us to not see that. There we go.
Mm.
It's okay. I'm on my tablet and I don't have my photo library, so it is what it is.
But you did have swastika tits.
I did have, from Batman.
Same
Is
account,
that just a picture you just carry around just because
Yes.
you never know when that's going to come in handy?
It's on every device I have, just in case.
You should have heard earlier when she popped in. I was like, "Oh, that's from Dark Knight Returns." She was like, "Ah, yes, your Nazi tits," and I was like, "Or my comics." You could have went with that one. That would have been a much better way to put it, but it's fine.
And looking back through on the subject of retroactive Oscars, I think it's some of the biggest Oscar snubs, which makes me think that I actually know nothing about film because most of these I don't even know who they are or what they did. Like Wall-E and apparently The Dark Knight were both snubbed for Best Picture in 2009. What won in 2009?
No Country for Old Men, I think.
Oh, that deserves
Yeah,
it.
that-
Yeah, that's a. I was gonna say Wally deserves it.
2009
Wrong.
Oscars was a competitive year. Like
Yeah.
even what best
No,
supporting
actually,
actor
no.
was won.
No. That didn't win that year. I take that back. It won the previous year.
Oh,
So
okay.
actually, let me see. 2008.
So I'm probably gonna get some flack for this being a comic guy, but I do enjoy The Dark Knight. I do think it's a pretty good movie.
Here we go.
I think it's a little overrated though. Just saying. I think it was propped up.
It
a lot
has a
by-
lot of
Millionaire.
issues. Like it's an enjoyable film and it's a good
Slumdog.
film, but it has a lot of issues when you really pay attention to it.
Yeah.
I think Heath Ledger's performance carries the entire movie. If he weren't there as the Joker, I think it would be above average at best.
I
in all
agree
honesty.
with that.
I
But he
always
is
sum it-
there.
I always
He
sum
is
it up with
there.
this though.
But he is.
So for a film to be the best film, at least back then, now there's a lot of other things. There needed, if you could point to a scene and go, yeah, that kind of makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. That was always my like benchmark for it. Okay, they didn't pay enough attention for that particular thing. And one of the things that always bothered me about The Dark Knight, and I finally get to complain about this online, is at the very end they go, "Oh well, there's 2 people dead. Like, how are we going to cover that up?" It's like, I don't know, maybe the 150,000 criminals that were released from prison running around. Like, you could just easily be like, "We have
You don't
no
have
idea."
to blame it on Batman.
You don't have to blame it on anybody.
Yeah. Like,
And
I don't
that-
know. It's a fucking dangerous city, man. They got caught up in the scrum.
They
I don't know.
literally
Yeah.
destroyed the wall. Like there's criminals
There-
everywhere.
There are
Look at
so
anybody.
many fucking plot holes in that movie, dude.
And that's what I
in
mean.
The
There's
Dark
a lot of
Knight
plot
itself.
holes, and so if you're, that's why I can't say it's a perfect film like some people try to. It's still a very entertaining film, but not perfect.
Yeah, there are a lot of plot holes in The Dark Knight. It's
The Batman
it's
is better.
similar to how I feel about Spider-Man: No Way Home. Like I really like that movie. I understand there are a ton of plot holes, a lot of contrivances, but I don't know. I cared about the characters. That makes a great. I don't know. That it matters. That matters so much. There's the reason why The Dark Knight's still a beloved movie.
Also, The Dark Knight Rises then came out and made The Dark Knight look better.
Yeah,
even by
it did.
It looks like a
comparison. So
masterpiece.
that helps.
Yeah.
I did find my least favorite Oscar snub. I didn't realize that 2001: A Space Odyssey lost out to Oliver, as though I didn't have enough reasons
Oh
to hate
man.
fucking musicals.
Woo! That's
And Slumdog
crazy.
Millionaire won the year Dark Knight was snubbed for
Ooh.
even a
That's
nom.
overrated too. That movie.
That I
Not a-
did
What?
not think that was a great movie. I mean, it was good, but it was just
I don't.
not
I don't.
great.
It was good, but I think it was. I think there was just a bunch of really overrated movies that year. What else was nominated?
Let's take
Did
a
you
look.
did you close
I
out
got
the
it.
list?
No, I got it right here. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Frost Nixon, Milk, and The Reader. So really nothing.
Oh, The Reader was so good. Oh my goodness.
Like I remember all of these movies, but only because I'm reading their names now. Like that's how memorable they are.
Cynic. Let me just address something in the chat real quick.
Yeah.
Melvin, that link is okay. I'm trying to get more people to subscribe to the repost channel. He's like, I don't have your link.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're fine. That's if anybody that subscribes to me that doesn't subscribe to the Two Hoes repost channel, please do that. We're trying to get that more.
And Best Supporting Actor, Heath beat out Josh Brolin for Milk, Robert Downey Jr. for Tropic Thunder, which honestly I think is just the nomination because it was a crowded Best Actor Oscar that year, and they were like too pussied out to nominate 2 superhero movies. So they're like, well, we can't nominate Iron Man, so nominate him for Tropic Thunder. Philip Seymour Hoffman for Doubt and Michael Shannon for Revolutionary Road. Which wasn't he only in that movie for like 12 minutes? There was like something about why his performance stood out so much. And he made a lot of like a very, very, very brief screen time. But I don't know. There were a ton of Oscar redos that need to be done. One that comes to mind is the movie Crash. Did anyone see the movie Crash?
Oh yeah.
yeah, I
Crash
don't know
was
why
of
that
those.
one won at all. It was good, but it wasn't that good.
For
Nah, that was-
cinematography, that was pretty good, but they kept doing the same. It was over and over. It was like
It was the same thing. I agree. I actually didn't think it looked like a Tony Scott movie or something.
for the time, it was pretty solid for cinematography. By modern standards, that's kind of the thing that they were doing is now been overdone and done better. So looking back on it, but you have to remember contemporaries of the time. It was still kind of new.
I remember when it first came out, even when I was young, I remember thinking that it was like really over the top, like the message. I just thought it was so extreme.
I think I saw it like maybe twice back then, and I haven't watched it since.
It was like Matt Damon's comeback movie, and he had like a breakout role, and he was like some racist cop or something, but it was so ham-fisted and just super
Nice.
cringe. It was like unbelievably on the nose. It's just yeah, I think that's looked at as like one of the worst Best Picture wins of all time. I remember watching it live, like Jack Nicholson presenting the award, and he was even shocked when he was reading it. It's like it's Crash. He's just shocked.
That should just be a standard that whoever's reading an Oscar for a specific, they can pick whichever one they want every year, but someone needs to like screw up on purpose every year now.
Well, Al Pacino delivered Best Picture this year, and that guy is so old because the way that he won the Best Picture thing, it was so fucking hilarious because he was trying to be like whimsical. It was almost like Joe Biden reading it in a way.
Oh, dear.
Oh,
It's like,
He's still
no.
popping out kids though. So
is
got
he
something.
still
Somehow.
having children? Because he's just being Al Pacino, and he's
I
basically
remember
like,
we had to sit through him the Game Awards, the one when Judas was announced, because we were doing a little watch party behind the scenes, and Al Pacino was doing a lot of the announcing there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the guy cannot read the auto cue from like,
Mhm.
and he's probably drunk. But it's like it was funny, but also slightly embarrassing. And I'm wondering how the hell they keep giving him this job that he's clearly not capable of doing,
Mhm.
which is something you can, yes, also apply to certain American presidents these days.
As a person who's a terrible hard reader of things, that yeah, he probably shouldn't be doing that.
No, he was like fucking with the award. He was just like, oh, who's gonna win Best Picture? Oh, it's in the card. Oh, what do I read?
He
I
was
read
trying to be like
Oppenheimer.
he was trying to be Pacino from like
He
30
was.
years ago,
Yeah.
and he just couldn't do it.
Did he read
Yeah.
it like a question mark?
Hoo-ah, here we
Oppenheimer?
go.
It's like answering.
Yeah, basically, you read it like a question. Yeah.
It's like I can imagine that he's got the cards and everything, and he actually can't read them, and he's got this terrible moment of dread where he's thinking, "Shit, I'm gonna have
I'll
to
guess
just pick
it."
one. I'm just gonna have to guess." Oppenheimer. Oh, fuck.
This movie's winning where it gotta be. That's where he was.
He was playing like an old version of his character from Heat.
That's what that's
Like
why I
his
said where
little
it's gotta be.
playful, yeah, like the way he was trying to be playful, but it just came off as like pathetic because he's like 96 years old.
I think he's
Poor
in his
guy.
80s.
Oh, poor, well,
85-ish, somewhere in that range.
which, like everyone said, it's still
Mid-80s.
impressive. He's pumping out kids. So
Speaking of terrible Best Picture things, what beat The Fellowship of the Ring and The Two Towers? Because I think, am I right in thinking The Lord of the Rings didn't get Best Picture until Return of the King, which
Right.
is probably the worst of the three,
Yeah, but
and
they,
that's the one that got Best Picture. So what
think
beat out the first two?
it was
I
A
don't know.
Beautiful Mind.
didn't
Oh,
they
man.
both like have 12 awards each?
I mean, they won a lot
then
of awards. I
Chicago.
mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but Chicago.
A Beautiful Mind in Chicago.
There's always this like bias for for anything biopic. There's always a biopic bias with a lot of these Best Pictures for some reason.
Well, they're just Oscar bait stuff, aren't they? Lots of stuff is just
Yeah.
Oscar bait. Biopics are always good Oscar bait, as Oppenheimer is just proven.
Yeah,
Well, I think by the time they got to the third Lord of the Rings too, you need to like that's it. And you shouldn't awarded Fellowship of the Ring, but you can't now. So you got to give it to him.
I think the most telling thing about this is that we're talking about older Oscars instead of the one that just happened yesterday.
Well, to be fair, we talked extensively about Oppenheimer when it came out.
Yeah,
last year.
that's why I'm saying it's.
Yeah.
But the what else? got?
It was, this is the epilogue. They got what they deserved out of this, which is like they all won, and as
Yep.
they should have. Like Nolan
for
deservedly
Emily
is
Blunt.
finally won. Yeah, well, except
Emily
for
Blunt
Emily
should've
Blunt.
won.
And I thought
Yeah.
she was. I thought she
She
was
was
pretty
great.
much. I thought she was the best in the whole movie. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm sure she was pretty. She was
I think
really
Robert
good.
Downey was my favorite character, but Emily Blunt's character was.
Why do
really
I
good.
say biopic like that?
True.
I say
You say
biopic.
It's biopic.
Oh, I always say biopic. I've always called it biopic.
Like
Eh.
Bionicle.
I know technically it's biographical picture. I know that. It's just I've always pronounced it that way.
American.
Fucking Americans. Northeastern Americans. I was calling niche niche. And it's like a northeastern thing.
Oh,
I've-
that's incredibly annoying when Americans do that. Yeah, niche.
Niche?
Yeah, see,
And
see?
then you
I've
say-
been corrected since I started YouTube and hanging out with these guys. They like shamed me and saying
Americans
the right
also
way.
call the chassis of a car the chassis, I think, which is
Yeah,
another.
yeah.
It's CH.
Yeah.
It's French. It's chassis.
Yeah, well,
we
you
don't
put-
know that. We see American word
You
chassis.
put the letter U in a bunch of words, and it doesn't need to be there.
It does need to be there. It's incredibly
say-
important. It's the subtleties that you Americans just miss. It's
Nah, dude,
Timothy
just get to the fucking
Chalamet, not
point.
Timothy Chalamet. It's
I've never heard anybody say
It's
Chalamet.
Timothée too. It's
I've
not
seen people.
Timothée.
I've seen people say.
Chalamet.
okay, that's
say
too French.
Chalamet.
We have our limits. It's not
Chalamet.
yeah.
Oh, there, someone's saying aluminum versus aluminium. There you go.
It's aluminium.
Aluminum.
That is
Aluminum.
actually what it is.
Nope.
It is.
Nope.
It's aluminium.
Aluminum.
Yeah,
Oh,
you guys don't call it
listen.
champagne.
Call it what?
Champagne.
Champagne.
Champagne?
Come on now.
Americans are just wrong. Well, I mean, we don't care. That's the difference. We don't,
I did
we
have
don't
someone
give a shit.
telling me off because I kept pronouncing Madam Web, which it is,
What?
for not
What?
saying
What?
that it's.
What was the
for not-
difference?
Adam?
well,
Madame
apparently
Web.
it's Madame Web. Someone was
No,
trying to
it's
tell me.
Madam. It's
It's
always been Madam.
It's like the French call Paris Paris, but we don't do that because
Gay Paris.
we're not gay. So it's Paris.
Wait, Platoon, but
Wait a minute.
just saying.
Moving on, quickly.
80%.
No, in the colloquial sense of the term, like we're not French gay. That's what I'm talking about. So
French
it's
gay.
Paris, not Paris, but never. And so it's Madam, not
Madame
Madame. Because saying Madame Web, like, I get called pretentious a lot. But if I was going all the way through that video saying, "Oh, Madame Web," that would
You
be too
should've.
much, even for
It's
me.
way too much. Dude.
That movie does not deserve being called Madame. All right. Don't you also say
Dude.
garage? That's the craziest thing to me.
Well, that's out there. Some people
Garage.
say garage, and some people say
Garage.
garage. I think I say garage.
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 No.
Platoon, is it potato or potato?
It's potato.
Potato.
Tomato.
It's also
who-
tomato.
Do people actually say? Wait, what was it? Tomato? Wait, you say tomato? People say
Yes.
this?
Let's
Yeah,
call
it's
the
tomato.
thing.
That's one of my all-time favorite SNL sketches. It was the opening. It was when Christopher Walken is singing potato, but he just keeps saying potato. So
I
you say
remember that
potato,
sketch
I
very
say
well.
potato.
Yeah. June.
So yeah, the
Was it
Oscars, they were fun.
Dune?
Was there
Ryan
anything else that like, sort of jumps out for it? Was there anything that we thought should have won that didn't? I suppose is the other question. Since we're doing retroactive awards
Ryan Gosling, everything.
No, oh, you mean for this one or for the past?
for this one, I think we've done a lot of the past ones. For this one, any glaring omissions?
Killers of the Flower Moon, I heard was snubbed. Didn't win a single thing.
Was it any good?
Wow.
I still haven't seen
I
it.
haven't seen it. That's why I was like, I just heard it was snubbed, but snubbed means that it deserves something. So I don't know if it did.
Unfortunately, sometimes it's just there's only one award. You know, that's the problem.
Yeah.
They don't really do and this came in second place. Maybe they should start doing
Oscar
that.
for
Nah.
second best film of the year goes to.
No, because the second is you got nominated, and then that's good
Yeah.
enough. Just leave it at that. Like when they put out the Criterion editions of stuff, even if you were nominated, they'll still say that you were like part of the Academy Awards. Like they put it on the fucking cover.
Was Rebel Moon nominated for anything?
A Razzie, I'm sure.
No, it didn't get any nominations.
Let's go.
It
Are the
might-
Razzies
Wait, does it
on this
count?
year?
No,
gonna
it would
say,
have
does
been
it
been
count?
past the cutoff for all awards.
When's the
It came
cutoff?
out cutoff is in November.
Oh, okay.
No, the
Ah.
holdovers came out. Oh no, holdovers.
No,
came
the
out
cutoff
November.
is the calendar year, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Calendar year.
Is there any Razzies this year?
There
Yeah,
should be.
they're the day before.
Hey, there's the Disbussing Film Awards.
Do we know the winners?
I
I'll
love
bring,
the
I'll bring up
discussing
the
it. Yeah,
Razzies.
who won?
Hold on.
Yeah.
While you're
Razzies,
pulling
very
that up,
interesting.
I do just want to mention that Jimmy Kimmel fucking sucks.
Dude,
He sucks, and
does.
I hate that this guy is such an elite in Hollywood, and he gets all these gigs because he's fucking annoying. I didn't even watch the show. I just find him incredibly irritating and untalented.
after James Corden left, I was like, thank God, there's no more unfunny people, and also
No, there
one
are
less British person to deal with in America.
no. Now you just
Then-
have to deal with him, this
Easy.
American fucking.
Then
slug.
Kimmel shows up, and he's more
Okay,
prominent now,
so,
just because.
as you can
there's a
probably
power
tell by
vacuum.
my being extremely pale, all of a sudden I pulled up the awards for the Razzies.
Wait, let me finish my Jimmy Kimmel rant.
Oh, go on. I'm sorry.
So Jimmy Kimmel also got baited by Donald Trump
I saw
on
that.
fucking live TV. Like I saw all these clips on Twitter. That's how I know he was unfunny. And he actually got baited by him because Trump was talking shit about him on whatever his social media platform is because he has too much pride to come back to Twitter. And Jimmy Kimmel's just a bag of dicks. The guy's not very good. And I just
Shout
need
out to
get
Remy
that out.
on that one.
Yeah, shout out.
And
shout out.
also, I looked it up. The Academy. I mean, this might not apply for the Razzies, but the Academy sets the submission deadline for general categories for the 2024 Oscars at November 18th, 2023. So anything that came out in December will be eligible for next year, which would include Rebel Moon, I'm assuming.
Oh, good. It still has a chance to win.
has a
Oh,
shot.
Maybe Rebel Moon Part 1 and 2 can get nominated.
Yeah,
In the
and
same
all
year.
and all of the director's cuts. They could actually sweep in. They could sweep the nominations. It could be all 4 nominations for certain categories.
it could.
Vex, I haven't finished that Zack Snyder Joe Rogan episode, but I thought you said that this dude has some like redemption arc through this.
Listen,
fucking thing.
okay, I was somewhat wrong about Zack Snyder. I have some respect for him now,
What?
just not as a filmmaker.
Yeah, that the dude is a total chode when it comes.
He's
just
one
not
of those guys.
good.
He understands, he just can't apply. That's it.
Yeah,
So just
yeah. He needs
study film,
other
if
people.
anything, Zach. Just don't make film. How about that?
All right, so how do you guys want me to do this for the
I'm
Razzies?
back.
Do you want
Who's
me to
not
go?
making
Do you want,
film?
Yeah,
do you want me to go
Razzies.
like worst picture, or do you want me to work my way up through like the actors and stuff?
Start from the. I start.
Okay.
big.
Work your way up.
Who
How
If
about
the
the
list
one
is
worst
there, can we
Do you want-
pull
do you
the
want-
list up?
I was
Actually,
gonna
yeah,
say,
yeah.
do you want to make a game out of it? I can read you off
drop it in
all
the
of the
private
nominees.
chat and I'll pull it up.
Okay. I mean, it's just the wiki, so it's
Oh.
private chat. But I was gonna say we could turn it into a game.
Yeah, we
I
could
can-
actually. That
Oh.
might be fun.
All
If you
right,
read
let's
the
do that.
category and we can guess the film,
Actually,
that
yeah.
would be
Yeah,
fun.
so don't look. Don't. Well,
Yeah,
I'll,
no
It's not
one
like
click that
All right,
link that
all right.
just showed up.
Yeah, just forget
Or
that
you're
link.
cheating.
Okay, so we'll start with worst screenplay. I'll just read them in any order. So we got Expendables. We got Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. We've got Winnie
Ooh.
the Pooh, Blood and Honey, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, or Exorcist Believer.
That one.
Um,
Wait, this is worst picture.
Worst screenplay.
Oh,
Oh.
I'm still going Indiana Jones.
I'm gonna wait till
Okay.
everybody says theirs.
What was the
so
list again?
I will read
I'm
them
gonna
all
say-
back. It
I'm gonna
was.
say
I'll
Blood and
read them in a
Honey.
different order this time, though. Shazam,
Okay.
Fury of the Gods, Exorcist Believer, Expendables, so Expendables 4.
Expendables.
Spend 4
Uh,
minutes.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Worst.
I'll go Blood and Honey.
It's either Exorcist or Blood and Honey. It
We got to pick one,
depends.
Cynic. You can't.
I
you
know.
can't-
What? Fuck. Fine. I'll sit on it and let other people pick. Hang on.
Vax,
I'm
okay.
going-
Exorcist. I'm going
Oh,
Exorcist.
Exorcist. So you've got an Exorcist, an Indy 5. Andrew, what would be your guess?
Oh,
I think
Blood
he,
and Honey.
He said Blood and Honey.
Blood and Honey. Brown,
Although that movie is
Expendables.
amazing.
Expendables. We've got one for each so far. So Vex.
Is Vex here?
What were the thingies
Oh,
again?
not again.
Oh, we just said them.
Yes.
So
What
Blood
do you
and
think was?
Honey-
What do you
Blood
think
and
was
Honey,
the worst
Expendables?
screenplay from last year? That's what we'll go.
Rebel
with.
Moon.
It wasn't in the category.
Okay, then I'm gonna go. I heard pretty shitty things about Expendables, so I'll go Expendables.
And
the-
Cynic picked 2, so I'm just gonna pretend.
No, he went for Exorcist in the end, I think.
Okay, it was
Mhm.
Blood and Honey.
It was
it was-
Blood.
Yes!
and Honey.
Fuck. 1 point
1
for me,
point
baby. I'm
one
winning.
point for Andrew.
I mean,
Yeah.
that one seems like too obvious. So but it's
That
not
is.
that kind.
So-
it's not a card game.
Let's mix it up a little bit here. Worst supporting actor. We have Mel Gibson from Confidential Informant, Michael Douglas from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Bill Murray also from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania,
King of Riz.
Franco Nero from Pope's Exorcist, or Sylvester Stallone from Expendables. I hate when they do that shit.
Expendables.
Expend 4 balls.
The most depressing thing about that is that Ant-Man was only last
Michael
year. It
Douglas.
feels, yeah, I'd be
One
tempted
of
to say
those
Michael
two.
Douglas.
Michael
Yeah.
Douglas. Gotta be.
Say Michael Douglas.
Or Bill Murray.
I'm gonna
No,
go.
I
Bill
like
Murray.
Bill Murray. You're going for Bill Murray.
Bill Murray was the king of Riz. He was cucking
And-
Michael Douglas in that, so Michael loses this too.
Did Andrew say anything? I didn't hear Andrew.
No, what was the list again? I completely did not
Okay.
see it.
Mel Gibson, Bill Murray, Frank Nero, Michael Douglas, or Sylvester Stallone. It doesn't matter which movie. Just pick.
I'll just go Stallone.
You are correct, Andrew. 2 for.
Oh my god!
Bastard.
Let's go!
Okay. Let's mix this up again and go with worst director.
I'm pulling up NS Paint. I'm making a leaderboard.
Reese Frank Waterfield for Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh.
He
Blood and
won.
Honey. David Gordon Green for Exorcist Believer. Ben Wheatley for The Meg 2:
Oh, I
The
really hit that
Trench.
guy, though.
Scott Wag, Expendables.
One
And
of those.
Peyton Reed for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
So it had to be Blood and Honey then.
Wait, what is this? No.
I'm not
say.
going to say anything until everybody says something.
What's the
Alright.
award?
This is
Worst
this is worst director.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean, Bloody-
tricky because
Blood
like
and Honey
my
was
answer is going to
really
be like, which one do
poorly
I think
directed.
is worse, and that's got to be Ant-Man. But like,
You didn't
I
see
think-
Blood and Honey. Dude,
No, I didn't.
I like bad horror movies, right? And I wanted to watch it for the lulls and maybe make a video. And it was so bad I couldn't even finish it.
shit.
Yeah, it was.
Dude,
I had
Platoon,
to
you
turn
need
it
to
off.
watch it. It's so good.
He said, "Can someone fucking clip that?" Shit.
Shit.
That is a soundboard.
Alan Partridge. Shit.
Oh fuck it, I'll go Blood and Honey then. Why not?
Okay, so we got a Blood and Honey. What was yours, Andrew?
I'll go Blood and Honey again too.
Okay. Brown. I think I heard you say Ant-Man. and the
Yeah,
Wasp.
I'll go Ant-Man, yeah, just
Okay.
to be different.
And Vex is a nipple again.
Yeah, I'll not Blood and Honey. Oh my God, what did I?
Shit.
Ant-Man.
Yeah.
It was Blood and Honey. So
Yay! Got a point on the
Yeah.
board.
Yay,
Andrew's
on the
still out in
board.
front with 4.
let's get some estrogen in this these
No, I have
awards.
3.
Let's
Easy.
go worst actress. We
Hmm.
have Jennifer
Phoebe
Lopez.
Waller-Bridge.
Jennifer Lopez in The Mother. Actually, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is not nominated.
Oh,
Who's in
fuck.
Blood and Honey?
Hold on. Jennifer
Shit.
Lopez in The Mother. Megan Fox in Johnny and Clyde as sorry, that's
She totally won.
Ana de Armas in Ghosted. Selma Hayek in Magic Mike: The Last Dance, or Helen Mirren in Shazam: The Fury of the Gods.
Megan
Anna,
Fox.
I'm
I'm
gonna
a
go
d-
Shazam.
So we got one for Megan Fox, one for
I'm gonna go Megan Fox as well.
I'm going Megan Fox.
Okay, Megan Fox.
Anna de
okay.
Anus.
To anus.
Anna de Anus.
Really? I'm going to go for whoever was in Blood and Honey because that seems to be
There
winning
was
all of the
no
awards.
one's even nominated for that one.
Oh
I
god
don't even-
damn it! Okay,
God,
I'll
it's
go
a
for
free fall.
Megan Fox then. Why not?
Megan Fox.
Shit.
And does that everybody said something?
I think that's everyone.
It was Megan Fox.
Wait.
Wait,
And now
Voted
worst
Megan
supporting
Fox?
actress. Worst supporting actress. Kim Cattrall in About My Father. Mary Stuart Masterson in Five Nights at Freddy's. Lucy Liu in Shazam: Fury of the Gods. Bailing in Johnny and Clyde. And Megan Fox in Expendables.
Megan Fox.
Yeah, Megan Fox for both. Why not?
I'm gonna go.
She takes
I'm gonna go
2
Fury of the
back.
Gods again.
Vex.
Megan Fox. Megan
Megan
Fox. For
Fox.
everything.
She swept. She swept for both.
She
both
swept the
Oh,
rounds.
get in.
Razzies.
What I'm getting from this is that Megan Fox isn't a very good actress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna skip the worst remake, ripoff, or sequel because it's just it.
That's in D5, isn't it? Yeah.
No, it's Winnie the Pooh.
Oh.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. That
look,
makes
I-
sense.
Wait, that's.
But
a
I figured
sequel?
it's the worst It's the worst screenplay, so the odds of it being the worst. And I'm just gonna say it's the worst picture as well. Because
It's
the-
really
usually if it's
fucking
worst, usually with the Razzies, if it's worst screenplay, it's also the worst picture. It's very rare. That it's,
They are in the midst of filming the sequel. IGN is posting behind the scenes
Oh, yeah.
photographs. Aren't you excited?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, that
Alright,
movie made so
so,
much money.
I'll just do the 2 remaining categories that aren't those. We have worst actor and worst screen combo. Worst actor: Vin Diesel in Fast X, Russell Crowe in The Pope's Exorcist, Chris Evans in Ghosted, John Voight in Mercy, and Jason Statham in The Meg 2: The Trench.
Chris Evans.
I'm gonna go Meg.
Who
2.
was the first
So,
one? Yeah.
Me too.
Well, I can just read them back to you. It was Russell Crowe, Vin Diesel, Chris Evans,
Vin Diesel.
Jason Statham, Vin Diesel.
Ooh, Vin Diesel. It's Vin Diesel or Jason Statham. It's one of the Fast brothers. I
I'm
know
going
it.
for Statham.
I'm going with
That-
Statham too.
You're all wrong. It was John Voight.
Oh.
What?
I've never even seen or heard of Mercy. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I have never
Nope.
heard of it either.
Yeah. And the last one, I'm not even gonna bother with this one because you guys are just gonna guess the same thing. 'Cause most of these are also
It's Blood and
this is a-
Honey.
well, it's Blood and Honey, but also
Megan Fox.
as I read it, it would have been a hard category to do because it was. I'll just read. It's funnier if I just read it this way. So it's worst screen combo: Pooh and Piglet from Blood and Honey, Anna de Armas and Chris Evans from Ghosted, Salma Hayek and Channing Tatum from Magic Mike, and then the remaining ones are Expendables 4, any two of the Merciless Mercenaries, and then Exorcist: The Believer, any two of the money-grubbing investors who donated to the $400 million to remake the rights, for the remake rights of Exorcist. So
yeah, that movie was a piece of shit.
So that would have actually that would have been a hard one for me to.
Yeah.
And then they have the Redeemer Award went to Fran Drescher, which is a former winner of a Razzie who has. I love the way this is explained. Let me find it.
What's a Redeemer Award?
Hold on, I'll read it. It's billed as. It's here it is. A past Razzie Award nominee or winner who has become a respected artist. It was Fran Drescher.
Oh, the Exorcist thing just reminded me of something that came up in Browns yesterday, which none of us really had any opinions on, but Cynic, you probably will. Halloween is becoming a TV show, which is based apparently on the first movie. What was your reaction? Are you excited by yet another Halloween thing?
Absolutely not excited at all. And why? How are you going to do that?
I don't know.
How do you make a series about a slasher? I don't know.
Yeah. Dude,
you're really gonna have to blow my mind, and I can tell you this: so far, the people who make the Halloween movies don't really do that. So
who's in charge? Do we know who's like directing or writing?
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember who it is. I just remember my reaction was unimpressed.
Other than like a mini series of 6
yeah,
episodes.
It's got to be like a mini series type of thing.
Minutes each. Like it's a slasher, not that deep.
Unless you turn him into like an actual boogeyman type of thing where he does disappear and shows up randomly on Halloween. And it's an anthology or some shit. I don't know. I'm not excited about it at all. No.
We can rip into it and make money. Let's go.
Yeah, I still have like a video I want to do on Halloween Ends still. When you said, what was his name? Joseph Gordon-Green was nominated for Exorcist. I wanted him to win this year, the Razzie, just because he did Halloween Ends last year. And that movie was so fucking bad.
So it's one of those retroactive you deserve this is, but for terrible.
Absolutely. Yeah. Has Michael Myers been embarrassed enough? Leave the man alone. He went down. He like got ground into fucking sausage the last movie.
He got turned into mulch.
Yeah,
for a playground.
Jesus Christ,
God, that movie is insane.
Disgrace.
They are calling the TV show a creative reset, which will focus on like the 1978 film and some of the characters who we didn't see in. From that film,
it's a side story about someone you don't care about.
I guess. Is he going to go like, kill a babysitter an episode or something?
Dude, yeah, I could see this. That'd be good. Meat sandwiches, Bates Motel style Halloween series would work. Follow the doctor who works with Michael Myers. Yeah, it could, but then it's not like I guess. So the whole series is him building up to becoming Michael Myers. That with the mask. Like so, that's how the series would end.
Just make it based off of the third Halloween movie.
Michael is a character that doesn't speak. Norman Bates speaks.
The third one was Night of the Witch. That was the one that has nothing to do with Michael Myers.
Season of the Witch. Yeah, that's a fun one.
Oh, the pumpkin one.
The weird pumpkin one with the cult that wants to brainwash people via Halloween masks.
That was so bad.
So crazy. I love it.
Like I see where you're going with the Bates Motel idea, but yeah, like at least that main character talked though, and Michael doesn't. So like even if you just have the doctor, that's not going to be enough. We need our primary character.
They're going to make it Stranger Things, I think. Just
Wait, how does that work?
Stranger Things?
Just have like a mystery of this guy let loose, have a bunch of kids hunt him down and then kill him, and then secretly one of the kids turns into future Michael Myers.
Weirdly, that might actually work.
And then like the whole like quirky thing is going to be like, oh my god, it's set in the 70s, and that's going to be the whole show's personality.
How do you surprise people with it being set in the 70s? Wouldn't the cars and the lack of cell phones and all that be a dead giveaway?
Well, you say that, but Madam Web comes out and tells us it's set in 2003, and half of its references aren't released until 2005 or 6. So, I wouldn't put it past them to get the timeline completely wrong. Sorry, Madame Web.
Madame. Mm.
I was called a hack for saying Night of the Witch. I'm sorry. I'm not a horror movie person. Not my thing.
I don't
I
even know if
forgot
that counts
all
as a
of
horror movie. It's just a really strange film.
It's so strange.
I think I saw it once when I was younger, and that was it.
Yeah, that's
Adam
most people's
West.
experience of that film. It's
well, I
it's another
finally-
Halloween film. Oh, where's Michael? Oh, fuck, that's not Michael Myers. Oh, what the hell's going on? I'm not going to watch that one again.
I rewatched all of the, or not rewatched. I watched all of the Halloween movies, other than like the 2 that I previously watched. God, they're so bad. Like,
Yeah.
on the
The
whole.
only way that
I
you can
accept-
enjoy
I
those is
accept the hackery,
because
though.
you have nostalgia for them, which is why
the
I have them.
actually, that's a lie. I didn't watch the Rob Zombies one. I got 10 minutes into the first one. I got to the point where it was like a dolly shot zooming in on Michael Myers sitting on the porch or something, and then like it cut to his mom in a strip club dancing, and I was like, yeah, I'm done with this.
Yeah, that movie's so bad, but it has like the supervillain origin story of Michael Myers, if you will, because his stepfather is probably one of my favorite screen villains of all time because it's Rob Zombie writing and directing. So the character is so unbelievably fucking over the top. It's entertaining because he's such an aggressively horrible human being. He's even shouting at a baby. And like mocking a baby for crying. So
dude,
it's just like
these
so
like
fucking
handheld shots
outrageous.
that are making me sick all the time. It feels like I'm watching Obi-Wan Kenobi again. And then like these lens flares coming through the window. It's like no house looks like this. What's going on?
Damn you, J.J. Abrams. Damn you.
Yeah. He was secretly cinematographer or editor in the movie. He's like, I need to put more lens flares into this movie.
But yeah, it's don't watch those Halloween
Has Rob
movies.
Zombies
ever.
made
They're
any
not
other
worth it.
movies?
Yeah, he has, and it's upsetting that like if I listened to him on an episode of Rogan, also he has filmmakers on like
He was on
Snyder
Rogan?
sometimes, and
He got Snyder.
yeah, he was on. Yeah, he got Snydered. But he basically admitted to lucking through his whole career. Like opportunities were just presented to him, and he was surrounded by more talented people, or just had the right aesthetic at the time. And like it's a self-admitted luck story. And
I like J.J. Abrams.
I think JJ has talent. I don't think Rob Zombie's particularly talented at much besides aesthetics.
Yeah.
That's just me.
JJ's movies have a good production quality because he
Yeah.
uses his own production studio. Isn't it like Bad Robot or something? They look fine. Like I would say they're well produced.
Oh yeah, they always look fine. That's what all the lens flare is for, is to distract you from all of the things that you're meant to
the
see.
writing, the actual movie. That's another question.
Before we carry on, however, I know we have to say goodbye to Vex, who I'm assuming is going to some sort of Nazi rally somewhere in Canada. So, Vex, do you have anything you want to plug before you go?
I will be on Cannoli Sasquatch's channel later tonight, and we are reviewing Tombstone, the 1993 Western. So you can find me there. But other than that, thank you as always for having me on. It's always a pleasure. I'm sorry I can't hang around longer.
No, it's all good. We will see you next week.
Yes, we'll see you all next week. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Panel, chat. Mwah.
Bye.
Thanks, Vex.
See you later.
Bye.
Any final words on the Oscars? I don't know if we've really emphasized enough. I know Cynic had his go, but I don't know if it's really been strongly pushed enough just how insufferable Jimmy Kimmel really is. That clip where he does quote from Trump's Truth Social thing was quite funny. I think that's probably one of the only clips from the Oscars I've seen this year. He's not the only insufferable one, because the other thing that I think I've seen making the news is that though a load of celebrities turned up wearing little red badges to call for a ceasefire and a conflict they know nothing about, it was the guy who won for the Zone of Interest, which has made some news. Obviously, the Zone of Interest being an adaptation of a Martin Amis novel, which is set in Auschwitz, so it's quite serious subject matter. And I believe he took his opportunity to draw comparisons between the Nazis and Auschwitz and Israel and Gaza today, which is just I guess like inevitable. But yeah, I think he did. It was his acceptance speech talking about how like isolation and conflict, and he wasn't as explicit as he might have been, but he was fairly explicit in drawing it, which is it's probably surprising that was the only big speech that made the news, making that sort of point. But like celebrities are always insufferable in that way. It's just that of all the films to make that point with, maybe not using Zone of Interest is that was pretty disgraceful, I thought. But that's
I didn't even I heard no controversies about anyone's
Hear
speeches.
anything about that?
Yeah,
The only one I watched was RDJ's.
I didn't even read anything about that. Did he say anything of note?
I don't remember.
Was it short and sweet?
I think it was short. I completely forgot.
You were
It was
the one
like
who you're the one who watched it.
He
No,
said
I
never
know.
go
It was like
full-
3. Listen, it was like 3 a.m. All right.
You're like, I
was
watched
tired.
it, and then we asked you. The 2 questions were asked. You're like, I don't know. Like,
Listen,
Well,
I
He
just
said never go
leave me
full
alone.
vegan.
Yeah, on top of the Kimmel thing, now that we're talking about RDJ, he attempted a piss poor joke that did not fucking land.
Oh my god.
Trying to it was painfully on the nose. It was on purpose because that was part of the joke, him pointing out how on the nose it was, because that's how he was making fun of Robert Downey Jr.'s former drug habit 25 years ago. And kudos to Robert Downey for how he played it off too. I thought that was like really
Imagine he
well
goes
done.
up and slaps him.
I know that
that
one
would've been
deserves
so
a
good.
slap, dude. Like
You go to shoot
keep
him.
my addictions
that
out
point.
your damn mouth.
keep my addictions out
But
your
then, like,
fucking
if
nose.
you've been attacked by Ricky Gervais, being attacked by Jimmy Kimmel is like being molested by a chihuahua. It's just like I can
That's
imagine
just
it's not as painful as the first time it happened.
Still, that wasn't the only joke that didn't land, but that was the one that really stuck out of the clips I saw. I just don't understand why they keep bringing him back. Is he cheap? Like, is that why? I know that he's like a company guy. He'll say what you need him to say.
He's
But-
just a leech, and he just gets. It's the same with all these like late night hosts. Most of them are just like leeches, and then like the worst was like over COVID because they had no audience and no attention, so they like made this weird podcast together, and it's like all of these co-host people. It's like, stop! This isn't funny. You have no crowd to entertain. You're useless now.
And no one watched it. I remember that was like a
Nope.
big thing. Basically, they were able to attract like 100 people to listen to it or something like that. And it's like, you're all of the big late night talk show hosts, or shouldn't you be? So clearly, it's just become the like late show, and all these ones have just become things that people do because it's something they've done for years. It doesn't matter who the host is. They're just going to watch it anyway.
Yeah, it's a bummer too. Like Taylor Tomlinson just became the new late night show host. I don't remember what show, but I actually find her quite funny. So I was happy that she got the gig. But it'll be sad to
Wait,
see
who?
like a really good she's a stand-up comedian.
I think I saw that one. What was that called?
Wait,
it was.
what's her
I'll
name?
look it up.
Taylor Tomlinson.
Oh yeah. I think she's
Yeah.
funny.
She is funny. I saw her. She was here in Nashville last fall. I think in like September. I saw her live. She's really funny. But she'll probably become a company man, which will be sad to
Yeah.
see. Yeah,
Yeah,
sad to
as
see
soon
like
as I
a
saw
stand-up
that
comedian actually decline.
As soon as I saw her get the gig, I was like, no.
Yeah, I
After,
know.
after
Ruin her.
midnight.
Yeah.
After midnight, is that the one you're talking about?
I
After
believe so.
midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Set. All right.
Wait, am I lagging?
No, it was just no one had anything to say about after I
Oh.
said after midnight. There was
Nope.
A good old thumbs up.
And I was still looking at her because I was going through her Wikipedia page to find it. I was still had that up, and then when I came back, no one was talking.
No, nothing. Well, anyway, I'm done ranting about the Oscars. We're well over an hour talking about.
Yeah, it's probably more time than it's worth. So unless there was anything else in the interim, and then we got Dune 2 because we were away last week, so we haven't had our shot at this one yet. Was there any other interim topic anybody wanted to bring up, or shall we just move on to Dune? I haven't yet
I'm
asked
okay
anyone
with-
if
I'm
they
okay with
think like,
Dune.
are any of you attracted to tomboys? I could have done that one
What?
because if you are,
Oh yeah.
that
was
uh,
so funny.
that Twitter
I'm
drama.
not touching
Sure.
that one.
That was crazy.
Yesterday's Twitter stuff.
But yeah, that's as much attention as that deserves. So I guess Dune 2. Yeah, I mean, everyone here has seen Dune Part 2 now, haven't they?
Oh yes.
I know, like, so like opinion. I think everyone here broadly enjoyed it. Nobody here didn't enjoy Dune Part 2, I'm assuming.
No, I liked it a lot.
No?
It
Enjoyed
was
it.
okay. It was okay. Enjoyed it.
And yeah, so that's the thing. It's sort of the spectrum from what I've seen from people's responses is it's either just good, but with reservations, or it's absolutely brilliant, best thing since, if not better than, Empire Strikes Back and The Two Towers. Is anyone on the panel of that very silly opinion?
I'm somewhere
Fucking
between the
no.
two. I think it's really good. I think there's also a lot of really strange gatekeeping going on with it that I'm not really a fan of. I wouldn't say that it's the greatest movie I've ever seen, but it's probably the best sci-fi movie I've seen in I'm not even sure how long. So it is kind of getting this artificial bump from that for a lot of people. I still think it's really good though. I would give it like B plus A minus range. Like it's not an A plus perfect film, but
Yeah, and Brown, you saw and liked the first part, didn't you? Did part 2 they improve things for you, or not improve things for you together? If you take both part 1 and part 2,
I think I was looking forward to part 2 so much. I psyched myself out, and I was disappointed. I enjoyed the movie. It's a good movie. It's not a great movie though. It's not a masterpiece, how people saying. It's just not a bad movie. It's pretty good. I was just not. I didn't connect with the movie at all. Just cold.
By the end of the film, you didn't have a connection to Paul at all? Or didn't feel like for anyone that was going on? I just
There
meant
were,
like
there
a
were
genuine
moments.
question. Yeah.
There were moments in the movie. It didn't help because the air conditioning in the theater was. I was freezing my tits off.
yeah, we can't really blame the film for that one, sadly. But
And a broken
It was a
speaker.
4D.
There was a
It was a
broken
broken-
speaker
Yeah,
as well.
they were like, "Hey, we heard that this whole movie takes place in a desert. You better turn up that air conditioning real high or low."
I was teetering on being bored in places.
Mm.
So
It was.
I have noticed there's this. So there's like three.
Mm.
I think there's three people. I think there's the people like me who didn't watch the first one until very recently because I knew this was going to happen. I knew
Same.
that there was going to be.
That was me.
And I think that if you did that, you were fine, especially if you didn't read the books. I'm now reading the books, but that helped. Then there's people who hyped it up a lot, and then it got extended out, and the hype got harder. And then I think Brown, that's what you're trying to say, is that you almost overhyped yourself into it. And then there's
I had no expectations at all to see the first one. I just turned up, watched it, really, really liked it.
Yeah. Okay.
Second one, I was just, oh, come on, bring it.
And then I think there's the third group of people, which is the book fans who absolutely hate anybody who likes this movie and want you and are wishing death upon them.
Yeah, I mean, I can see some people.
Have your comments shown that?
Are of that opinion.
They have.
That's always going to be the risk, though. I mean, you even had that with, say, The Lord of the Rings, which you did. I would consider myself a pretty big fan of The Lord of the Rings, but there will always be people who are incredibly attached to the books and find any film adaptation, because any film adaptation necessarily has to abridge the book. That is just a fact of film adaptations. We'll say that the characters are comparatively shallow. The story will be missing important things, missing thematic elements. And so there are some people who are so attached to the books that actually almost any adaptation will fall short. And to be honest, I don't find that a completely invalid point of view. I just think that's more of a criticism of film as a medium than it is the specific adaptation, which is a fair criticism to make. I know there were some people, and Christopher Tolkien is the one that people often bring out in the Lord of the Rings context, who found the films quite soulless and shallow and thought that they missed the thematic points. Some of which, I mean, I would disagree with, to be honest. I think there's one big thematic thing in Return of the King that's missed, but for the most part, the books do a good job. But that's sort of the level of criticism I think I would apply to the Villeneuve Dune films, which is that I don't think they do as good a job of abridging and adapting as the Tolkien, Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings films do. So it's not that I like the book, therefore I hate the film. It's that there's stuff in the book which should be in the film in place of stuff that is in the film that isn't in the book, and that would have made for a better adaptation and therefore a better film. But the film we got, one of the things, because I'm probably on Brown's side in terms of finding it a little bit difficult to attach to any particular part of it, certainly the characters, is that they have removed much of what makes the characters genuinely interesting. They're all there, and they all do roughly what they're supposed to do at the right time. But all of the contextual stuff, all of the interrelation stuff, all of the stuff that actually makes them people as opposed to props on the screen is just kind of empty.
I actually was really surprised that by the end of the second movie, I actually felt something for Paul. So the entire time through the first movie, I felt like it was cold and yeah, there wasn't anything to connect to. So I was like, it'll probably come by the second movie. And I was actually really caught off guard by the end because I didn't feel like anything was really happening. I still felt like it was like that sterile feeling. But then by the end, I don't want to give it, or can I just talk about the ending?
Well, I mean,
It's
it's been
been
weeks at this point.
Yeah, so it
Anyone
doesn't
who in
matter.
chat
Okay.
who hasn't seen it, just
Chat, go watch
go
the
away.
movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
go
It's
see
been
it.
2 weeks. I think that's the standard.
Despite all the criticisms, I
Time
still thought it was a good
profiting.
film. It's worth seeing. So, cynics, spoil away.
Okay.
Spoilers.
So when the villain threatens Zendaya's character and Paul, like I actually felt for Paul in that moment because he I felt his internal strife, and I was finally like attached to a character, and I was really shocked because I didn't like it was like sprung upon me that I felt that finally. So I don't really know where to give the credit to because it still felt a lot of the movie like kind of that sterile feeling, but that was also there by the end, and I was attached to I was attached to the story because of those two, the two lead characters.
I think Timothy Chalamet did a really good job with
That's
what
the
he was
thing. I
doing.
don't think he did a good job though,
I
so I
think he
can't
did
give it to the
personally.
actor.
Really?
What?
No, I
He
didn't
did.
like
This is his
him.
best
the-
performance. I think this is his best performance. Like when
So
he gets
I
like
think
in that circle. Oh,
Yeah, I think what we're gathering here is that this is a very divisive film. This is the best way I can put it.
Well, sort of. I mean, I don't
friendly
see a
divisive,
huge
but it's
amount of.
not heated.
Yeah,
but-
it's not like this is either the worst thing you've ever seen or the greatest thing. There's definitely most people are in camp. It's good to great. It's a
Yeah.
matter of where you are in that.
It's
I
a
mean,
good
I'm
movie.
certainly. Yeah,
Good
exactly.
movie.
It's a really good film, and it's one of the best
Well
films that
done.
you're likely to see that's come out in the last probably 10 years. I mean, it is a good, technically good film. It's just I certainly find my opinion hardening on it slightly because it's getting overpraised. Because it's good, it must be the new best thing ever, which it's just not.
I said to the person, Smilex, who I watched the movie with, I think part of the reason why I was didn't connect or just kind of went a bit with it was we've had so much crap over the last 6-7 years that I think I've just gone past caring about movies. I know that sounds bad. And when I see a good movie, it's just I don't care. I'm indifferent. And I think that's sad.
Damn, that hurts.
Next,
mean,
I
Genuinely,
want to be entertained. And
Yeah,
when there's
yeah,
a good movie that turns up, don't care.
I did say in my review, and I think this was the opinion shared by a lot of people, was that this is,
The
and I think I
afterthought.
said it on the show too a couple weeks back, that I personally believe that it's just a story that maybe fits better in a mini series or even extended Game of Thrones style series better, because there is a lot of small. Now that I'm reading the book, I'm seeing kind of what those things are. The people are saying it doesn't retroactively harm the film for me. Maybe if I go back and rewatch it, it might, but there is a lot of little details that are missed that probably would have been better served having rather than, let's see, so it's 2 3 hour movies to 6, having like 10 hours to work within rather than 6.
I actually think just splitting it into 3. I mean, obviously when you get to this level, you're talking about an extra film, and that's a huge amount more budget, so it's less likely to come about. I'm just talking about, I think, the ideal form to adapt this into a film. If you're going to do Dune as a film, I think 3 parts would have worked infinitely better. I think part 1 ends where part 1 is supposed to end. It's a natural place to end. You can map it across the hero's journey points, which Frank Herbert very consciously did anyway. So going into the desert is the crossing the threshold moment of the hero's journey. That's a good place to end part 1. If you're then doing part 2, I personally would have done part 2 all the way up to the point, and this is vital to include, which the film doesn't. Paul Atreides has a son, and the son is killed by the Harkonnen on the attack on the siege, and then his sister, who is born in the book but not in the film, gets kidnapped. End it there. That would have actually mapped more closely to Empire Strikes Back, which people are comparing it to anyway, in terms of it being a much darker thing, but also a very, very strong character-led thing, which ends on kind of a tragedy, but also a hopeful element. And then you can effectively dedicate all of part 3 of this adaptation to the big final battle, which I thought was slightly underplayed in this film anyway. It's sort of, they breeze in very easily, and it's all done quite quickly because they have to spend so much time in the lead up that they don't really have enough time to focus on that. So if you divide it into, he leaves for the desert, end of part 1, then the Harkonnen strike back, we can call part 2, and then part 3 is return of the Atreides, and then you're fine. That I think would have worked pretty well. And then you get to include all of this stuff which makes for characters as opposed to pieces. Because I think cutting out Paul's son is really damaging to his character. It makes him much shallower. Like, you can still understand logically what he's doing and why he's doing it. There's still a kind of emotional investment there, but it's not as strong as that. And then the other side of that is the Harkonnens, who I think are almost completely ruined by part 2, which is a real shame because they're really interesting characters and a group of people. Because Fade Routher in the film is just a psychopath. That's all he's described as being. He's violent for the sake of being violent. And the Baron just wants power for himself, which is like the complete inversion in the book when he wants power. He's actually the model for Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones. This is a family man in a weird, perverse kind of way who wants power for his family and accepts he will never have the throne for himself. But one of the reasons he is so fond of Fade Routher, aside from the fact that he slightly has a weird sexual element because he's creepy, is that he wants a Harkonnen on the throne of the Imperium by the end of this story. And Fade Routher is arrogant and egotistical and tries to betray him, but then the Baron brings him back on side. He forces him to kill all of the women, which you actually see in the film. This is the thing about, it's not just about adding stuff from the books that isn't in the film. It's that some of the stuff from the books that is in the film is there. It's just not used properly. In the film, Fade Routher kills all of his female concubines just because he's a psychopath. And in the book, he's made to do that to bring him back into control. So you actually have the same beat. You just add a little bit before that to explain context. And all of a sudden, you've got a villainous cast who are actually characters as opposed to just being evil for evil's sake. And that's the kind of level I'm talking about when I mean it's kind of, I've described it as being Dune light before, which is probably the thing I'll carry on talking it as. It's good and it's compelling. It's just slightly shallow.
Okay.
Yeah, that adds a ton more depth. I haven't read the books or I have any preconceived notions about the story.
Didn't read the books, so it's not my problem.
Just the 2 movies, and I'm just consuming what I got, and it's pretty good. But that sounds pretty interesting. I would have liked to have seen that.
The book is the book, and a movie is a movie.
Yeah, but still, they didn't need to. If that's right there, that doesn't require a ton more effort to put in to give that character more 3-dimensionality instead of like just the evil for evil's sake, like Platoon said. You know what I mean?
This movie needed to be longer. I thought that's.
Well, I think, I agree with Platoon that if they would have added a 3rd movie, which would have been a relatively 9 hours, give or take, assuming they keep it the same length. And that would be about in where I said it would be if they did a series, which would be probably about 10 hours. So you're talking about the same amount of time for things to ferment.
Couldn't they have done 5 2-hour movies?
I thought I was pushing the boundary with 3, but okay, well, fuck it, 5. Why not?
Shoot them all back to back. They should have committed at the very, very beginning.
You know what? Screw it.
Gone for it.
A new movie
Warner
every
Brothers
year.
commit in this day and age? No.
Yeah. The Dune cinematic universe we could have had. A new film every year, like 13 in phase 1, and we can move on to Dune
We're getting a
Messiah.
Bene Gesserit show.
That's
gonna
the
get
one
Bene
thing
Gesserit show.
with the with Benny Gesserit's show. But yeah, that's the one thing that I've found hilarious about the gatekeeping aspect is the book fans being like, "You're gonna hate Dune Messiah. Just watch. Just you wait. You're gonna hate it." And it's like, cool. Like it's
Yeah.
just
I'm about to
it's very
hate read the first book just because I'm
Yeah.
annoyed by how many people are like, it's not like the books. Shut up. I don't care. I like the movie.
it was just like when people started saying that, they're like, "Oh, the second book is it's not it's not adaptable. It's not adaptable." I was like, "That's whatever. Then they'll skip it and they'll go to the next thing."
Yeah.
It's
I
like
don't really see that it's not. I mean, but people used to say the same thing about the first book. I mean, people attempted to adapt it before. Obviously, most famously, you had the David Lynch version, which probably the problem with that film is that they tried to cram too much of the book into too short a space of time. And I think Villeneuve did a better job of showing that it's possible to adapt it, because he kept so many of the essential beats in play. Which is again why I'm not saying it's a bad movie by any means. I just think that having done a good job of showing it actually is possible to adapt this book, he then didn't do a particularly good job of adapting the book, in that he shows it's structurally possible to do it, but missed the important stuff to actually give depth. And it's not just Paul, and it's not just the Harkonnens as well. I mean, you can add almost all of the politics side of the book is basically gone. Obviously, there's mentions of the fact that there are these houses and there is the Imperium, which is the bare minimum information you get. But a lot of the really interesting sort of intrigue drama of the book doesn't really come through. Like, there's a whole scene before the Harkonnen attack Arrakis when Lady Jessica is actually suspected of being a Harkonnen ploy. She's suspected of being a double agent. So you get the interplay between her and the trust of the Duke in her, and it kind of fleshes out their relationship, which sets up something that happens later on, because you prove her loyalty through all of this, which means in the final act of the book, and I think the final line of the book is when she tells Cheney that it's the concubines who effectively move history. Women have this immense amount of power, and it's love and loyalty that are important, but it's also politics, and it's the unique place women have in this society, which that's probably the big criticism I have in terms of what the film changes from the book as opposed to just omitting, and the fact that they have Cheney being this more traditionally, stereotypically strong woman who has to go off and do her own thing because she's stunning and brave and she's strong and she's a fighter. So fuck Paul Atreides. She's going to go off and be in the desert on her own. That makes it very difficult to lead into Messiah, but it's also just less interesting, I think, as a character move. I don't know what anybody else thought of that, who, like, people who didn't read the book. Did you like Cheney's arc in this?
No, I felt she was the weakest of the characters, even the ones that were less fleshed out, like you were saying about Fade Rotha. Like, I felt her arc, I just never connected. I keep coming back to, I just don't like Zendaya.
Zendaya just took me out every
Like,
time. Every
Why
time
do
Zendaya was
people
on
hate
screen.
her? Why do you not like her,
she's
Brown?
fine.
I don't know, something. I never feel any emotion coming off of her for some reason. No matter what role she's in, I just never feel it.
Same here.
It just feels like, to me, it just feels like she's going through the
By the
motions of,
numbers,
I'm an
yeah,
actress and I read lines and they told me to make
I've got one
my
name.
body do this, and like, she feels very much like she could be replaced by any person. So that's
Should
just
have
me.
been an unknown.
I thought Zendaya was fine. I think I
What?
like Chani in this movie.
Yeah, she always plays Zendaya.
I think I would rather have her be suspicious of Paul and, like, not very much not for the whole Messiah prophecy stuff. And also adding in the like half of the Fremen also not being interested in the prophecy as well, because it makes the Fremen more interesting, I think. Just because if they all are, like, if they're all just like, yes, sir, it kind of makes them shallow. So I'm glad that they did more with that. Like, compared to the books.
You mean the different sects of their religion?
Yeah, like there's the southern fundamentalist, and then there's, like, I guess, the younger generation.
Yeah, I thought that was probably
necessarily
the most interesting aspect of the society, like the world building, was that aspect of it. And that's something that there's a lot of, obviously, real world comparisons, so people can really understand that like one of the more well-known ones is like Reform Judaism versus like Hasidic Judaism, where like one follows very strict old traditions and the other one's kind of just like, we're sort of like they're like the Christmas Easter Christians of Judaism, where they go to their they do their seders and stuff on specific days, and then so that's kind of, I like that aspect of it a lot.
Do you
Yeah,
think
and
they
it
had
adds.
to, I was just going to say, do you think they had to dumb down the movie for modern audiences?
I don't know if it had to be dumbed down for like modern audiences. I think it just had to be dumbed down for casual audiences. I don't.
Yeah.
If they would have gone really in on certain things, it may have taken people out.
Sounds very complicated.
Yeah. So I
In a
like I said, I didn't read the
way-
book, so I personally don't have this investment that some people have.
I'd
Maybe
slightly
by the end of the book, I
dissent,
will.
I think from the suggestion that they dumbed it down at all in that respect, because like one of the things that I did quite like about the film is that it doesn't play things too simply for the audience. Like, it mentions an awful lot of quite abstract and obscure things without pretty much any explanation at all. And it's content to put those sort of guideposts in and allow people to sort of figure their way between these things in a way that the book has to exposit. I liked the fact that there was a much simpler thing you could have done with Alia's character, his sister, that you could have actually explained what was going on there. You could have had her born, which I still think they should have done, but they didn't. You never know. They still put that in there, and they are content to allow people to effectively link these nouns together and make these associations. I don't think that's dumbing down. I think that's placing quite a lot of trust in the audience, which I liked about it. I do. The only real modern concession I can remember from the film is, changing Chaney's character, and also changing that part about the Fremen being divided into true believers and skeptics, which I think that's a much more of a concession to like modern, not like modern politics in the sense of it's pushing a political point, but it's supposed to be more relatable to a modern audience in that it's a political situation we're familiar with. I can understand why they did that. I actually don't particularly like that decision. The whole point of the Bene Gesserit seeding this religious myth is that the book is, well, the story itself is supposed to illustrate the folly of predictive control. The Bene Gesserit have organized all of this in particular ways in order to give themselves immense amount of power. And the book is trying to show, and Frank Herbert's always very explicit about this, that any imposed system of control like this will lead to instability and chaos necessarily. So it's supposed to show the folly of the Bene Gesserit. The fact their plan is almost entirely successful, except that Paul turns against them, is proof of their own folly. When you have the Fremen only partially convinced, I think that's slightly diluted. And it also takes away a little bit, I think, from Paul's journey, because Paul's journey is really supposed to be quite depressing. Paul begins with these gifts that he slowly realizes over the course of the story. He realizes he's got foresight. Interaction with the spice is what gives him this immense power. He is, in fact, the Kwisatz Haderach, the prophesied messianic figure. But his whole shtick is because he's got these visions of the future, which the film sort of shows, but not in much detail, of this great jihad burning the universe. He becomes quite scared of his own role in history. And actually, he goes along with the Fremen in a bid to try and prevent that from happening, directing the jihad in a less violent and destructive way. And it's only when his son dies in the book and then his sister is kidnapped that he sort of surrenders to it in the end. So whereas the film shows him acceding to the mantle of this messianic figure leading the jihad, I didn't really come away from it thinking, and this is a bad thing, in a way that it's very clearly in the book. He's effectively given up any hope of peace because he has no agency. He's realized that the universe is going in a direction that even he can't control, though he can kind of see it. I think that just comes across more strongly when you don't have a divided Fremen base, which distract it and make it more sort of grubby political, like factional, and it's only a partially successful myth and all the rest of that stuff.
Sorry, I came in halfway through the
I
your
agree.
rant, so I'm like,
No, I got you. No, I mean, I would also like to. Someone corrected me in the chat. Hemmer Biotech. Yes, I guess I did mean Reform versus Orthodox. I'm not up on my Judaism. Like,
Get your
that
Judaism
well,
lore
Shame on
correct.
you.
Dark
sorry,
Hour.
I didn't realize. But yeah, that's I mean, I enjoyed that aspect. I guess it's clearly Platoon did not. So
Well, that's the thing. They are being very critical of it. I mean, I think it's always nice when you can make criticisms like this as opposed to the type of criticisms that you get from something like Madam Web, because it shows that the film has a base level of quality. And again, I did enjoy it. I'm sort of doing the negative stuff here because I think it could quite easily have been significantly better. but it is still a really good, enjoyable film. It looks incredible. The sound design is excellent. Set design is excellent. On a technical level, it's pretty much a masterpiece. All of that stuff's brilliant. Really enjoyed the film. It's just that the more you sort of meditate on it, the more shallow it seems, which I think is a shame because it could have been fuller. But also, I don't know, like, how do you lead into Dune Messiah if Chaney just fucks off into the... And we'll find out, I guess, with that one.
I'd have to have read Dune Messiah to know why that's a problem, but maybe I'll get there.
How do you look at adaptations in general? Like when you're watching a movie, because when we've been on other streams before, like generally all of us say like it doesn't need to be a perfect adaptation or anything. Like it needs to stand on its own. Like how do you separate that when you're reviewing it? Like, or do you not at all? Like, do you try and take it as its own piece of media and look at it that way? Or because you're actively, a fan of the books, does that change how you're approaching your review of it?
I guess I'll go first. Probably the one that I would lean to try and explain that would be Watchmen. And if you read Watchmen, it has a much different feel, tone. It definitely has a lot more details. The movie, a lot of times people say, doesn't get it. What Watchmen
it's made by Zack Snyder.
It's Zack Snyder, exactly. That being said, I still thoroughly enjoy Watchmen. I consider it its own piece, its own version of it. And whereas it didn't necessarily hit everything, I can separate the two in my mind. Then as long as it's, for the most part, a well-done version, I think most people can do that. And then you have like the Watchmen TV show, which was god-awful trash. And that's like an adaptation that you just throw out. So since I don't have any experience with Dune before this, I don't have a way of explaining that with this, but for Watchmen and other things, other comics that have done stories, as long as they can be entertaining on their own, I find I'm way more lenient towards it.
Yeah, because it's the other thing is, and this is why I sort of come away from those people who say that any change to the book must necessarily be bad. Like, I don't believe that. I think you have to essentially change things. Mm-hmm. And there are examples when changes have been made to source material that's maybe just average or, even just quite good. And the change has produced a film which is better, because changes can do that. Jurassic Park, I think, has been mentioned in the chat. That was going to be the example that I picked as well.
That's a good one.
Jurassic Park, Michael Crichton's book is on plot and on theme and on world stuff. It's pretty solid, and I like that book. But on character, it's pretty much lacking. And it's one of the things with Michael Crichton is that you can put almost any one of his characters from any one of his books into any other different one of his books, and it still works exactly the same because they're really quite shallow and they're really just there to push a concept across. So when Steven Spielberg comes along and says, I don't really resonate with this sort of stereotypically villainous John Hammond cynical businessman character, how about we make him this, quite doe-eyed, optimistic sort who really believes in this, and he's actually quite a romantic character, and you show that he doesn't have to be evil to do a bad thing. It's his good intentions that pave the road to hell. I think that makes for the film a much stronger story, and it's much more memorable for that reason because he added character where it didn't previously exist. So that's an example of an adaptation changing the original source and making an improvement to that. You still judge the film on its own terms. It's just that if the story has already been done, and if it's already been done really well, then the comparison's inevitable because the book or the source material has already shown you that this is how you tell this story. And if you're going to make any changes to that, you have to do it with good reason. And I think in some cases that works. In the case of Jurassic Park, it does. In some cases, it pretty much works. Like The Lord of the Rings is a really good example, maybe up to Return of the King, which is questionable.
Yeah, what do you think in Lord of the Rings was changed for you that you didn't like?
I think, well, that's like the really interesting and tricky one, because I think the changes actually made for an emotionally tighter film. It's really Return of the King is the big one. The ending, when they put almost all of the attention on the parting of ways and the Fellowship leaving and breaking and going off, half of them off to, I was going to say Valinor. Like, it's an emotionally resonant moment, and I think I'm torn on this one because I think that is a much more natural and strong and like satisfying ending. In the book, you get this thing called the Scouring of the Shire when they all go back to the Shire. And they find that a lot of some of the cynical, grubby businessman type hobbits have sided with Saruman. and they have started effectively defiling the Shire and turning it into factories and cutting down the trees. The thematic point of that is really the thing that goes all the way through all 3 books, which is that you can beat the big bad evil guy, but that's never going to really beat evil. There will always be evil on some level, in some form, and it's born from effectively like the sin of greed. So this is stressing the point that you've just gone through all of this journey to kill off Sauron, the big devil character, and you've gone home and you found that the same thing that gives rise to Sauron is kind of taking root here as well. And the only way to stop it is by being quite vigilant at the local level, having strong communities and friends, and working together and keeping your values true. And I think in getting rid of that, which the films do, and I understand why, you've slightly diminished what Tolkien was trying to do. But you have also produced a film which is very, like, that, the parting of the ways scene in Return of the King is still really, like, it's a stirring scene. It's a lovely scene. And so like, I'm torn on as to whether or not it would have been worth adding in the scouring. I just think it's one of those tricky ones. There has to be a trade-off. They sacrifice one thing to stress another one. It's just the only glaring omission of an important thematic part from all 3 of those films. And
Yeah, I find like with the film adaptations we've been talking about, it's like it's normally in sacrifice to have far more like character-driven moment, which is, it seems like that's like a trade-off for the audience usually in film as opposed to books, because you can do so, it's an unlimited amount of space you can
yap
work
all
with.
day in a book.
Yeah. But so like when they're doing adaptations, at least the ones we've talked about, it's always like a character. It's for a focus on a character so that we can connect with them. Like keeping it focused on Frodo's sacrifice and his resolution instead of going broader and seeing a scouring of the Shire. I think, like, I was one of the people that saw the movies first before reading the books, and I actually think that benefited. It's like I can keep them separate because of that, even though they're like one and the same in a lot of ways. And normally I'm a person that's always read the book first, but I think that influenced my experience with them too. But anyway, I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent here. I don't even know
the
what
films
the
are
main
paced
thing was
way
about.
better. Like the films are probably more enjoyable to a general audience because I actually think some of the changes they make and the information they cut out actually makes for a better paced story. It's fine in a book if you're building this incredibly intricate world to name every river and every road, which Tolkien pretty much does. And it's lovely to do that in the course of
Every
a book. You
family
can't do
tree
that in
too,
the film.
don't
Every
forget
family
that.
tree,
Like
everything
reading the
goes
book
into
of
that.
Matthew or something.
Yeah. But it does drag pacing down. And I think a lot of people, will say, I tried several times to read The Lord of the Rings, or I tried several times to read Dune, and I couldn't quite get into it. Like the pacing was wrong. It was too deep, or too long, too much extraneous information. So Peter
much
Jackson
yapping.
did turn those into a really probably a stronger narrative overall. Yeah, they have to be sacrifices, obviously.
Do you think we're going to be speaking about Dune 2 in 20 years' time?
That's a good question. I was actually going to ask that myself. Yeah, to people on here who liked it more than I did, and I did like it, but with reservations. I mean, yeah, as Brown says, who here reckons in 20 years?
Well,
Yeah.
in fact, next year.
So I think that if we do start to see a return of sci-fi blockbusters to prominence, it will be pointed to as
I
a
hope so.
turning point. Whether or not at that point we might look at it a little differently in comparison to other things, but I do truly believe that if there is a way for, because there was, I mean, for a long time, sci-fi, when a good sci-fi blockbuster came out, it was.
We've been sadly lacking sci-fi for a long time.
Yeah, that's the
So
thing.
I think if there's any way that it's going to be talked about in 20 years, that's going to be the way. Is that it is in its own little weird way this savior of the genre, and that it showed that it can still be used. Yeah, Messiah. That it can be used as still this big blockbuster, especially in comparison to some of the other things that have been coming out recently.
Yeah. Rebel Moon.
It makes it look a lot better by comparison. So it would be this jewel in the middle of a pile of shit.
Why
It
did
feels
the
disgusting even putting Rebel Moon and Dune in the same sentence. I mean, it's yeah.
why did the creator fail?
Not a good story.
Yeah, it was just that was another one of those spectacle, like what is it, style over substance movies.
Oh, shame. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Greg Fraser's also on that movie, and he did Dune too. Like, so, like, the creator looks incredible, especially for
yeah.
the camera they were able to have for that. Absolutely incredible look. The story, no, thank you. It feels like a video game. That movie does. In fact, I think I would rather have a video game set in that world than watch the movie again. I think you could do a lot with that idea, but I think the comparison I make in terms of Empire is not one of necessarily like quality. It's what Dark Hour said. It's like, this is like a giant blockbuster sci-fi movie. Finally, that's actually like good and worth going to. And like after Empire and after Star Wars, a bunch of sci-fi stuff came out trying to be Star Wars. Like the creator even feels kind of Star Warsy in its set design, and it's like hodgepodge type of like kit mashing style of like guns, armor looks that way too. Rebel Moon especially just looks like Star Wars, just made by Netflix.
Star Wars and Empire. Sorry, Matt, go on.
And I think like finally we have something that feels like it's a very different type of sci-fi. At least for like broader audiences, they're like, hey, this feels different.
Grown up.
Yeah, it feels mature. And it's yeah. And there's the comparison, oh, Star Wars was based on Dune. It's like kind of, I guess.
That comparison pisses me off to no end.
No,
it's like,
yeah, I know.
The comparison is like what it is. There's a sandy planet, there's a vague magic system, and there's an empire, and that's pretty much it. Like,
and an emperor.
And then, well, yeah, it borrows sort of a world setup and a couple of aesthetic elements to it. But the whole point of Dune is to subvert the type of story Star Wars is, which is what makes Star Wars a more popular story, but Dune probably a more intellectually satisfying one. The only point of the comparison really is to demonstrate how different they are.
Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, as I said yesterday, pushed boundaries. We'd never seen anything like that before. And it was like, oh my God, incredible. Has this movie pushed boundaries? Have you seen new stuff on this Have you seen new stuff on this movie that's just, your jaws dropped?
The way they integrate the sci-fi into the movie, or not sci-fi, CGI into the movie, is
I agree with that.
Specifically intriguing. Like Avatar. While I'm watching it, it's CGI. Like I know this is CGI. When I say
a cartoon,
when I see big worm, I'm like, that's a big worm. I don't remember. I saw like a little news snippet article about how they integrated the CGI. Apparently, it was like they took it digitally, put the CGI into it, and then reintegrated it into the film, like the actual film of the movie. It's something to do with that to make it look more natural. I'd have to look it up. I have no idea what I'm talking about right now. But
that's not a good way to sell your point.
Yeah. So that was really interesting. Infrared was crazy to see. They did that with the Getty Prime. All those things looking like looking.
Oh, is that the way that they made everybody look like? Okay, that's cool.
Like their skin almost looks translucent. Oh, it's so good. It's crazy.
Yeah, I actually was curious about how they did that.
Yeah, it's infrared, and like I think this is Greg Fraser's probably best looking movie. I thought like I didn't think he was going to be able to top it after he did the Batman, but like this movie, the way it looks, I've never seen a story told this way visually, like other than him. So yeah,
what was nice about this movie?
It feels like it's pushing something. Like this, I've like watching this. It felt like I never saw Lord of the Rings in theaters. I'm too young, but I watched this and I felt like I was watching Lord of the Rings on the big screen. Like I felt like I was watching Two Towers in terms of like.
Haven't they
scale.
just done stuff that already exists, but they've done it exceptionally well this time?
Yes, I would say that because it doesn't feel like
it was all pre-vised. This was.
It doesn't feel like when I was watching this movie, I wasn't saying, "Oh, that's really great CGI." Like I was just
saying big worm.
I was just involved in the story, which is what the effects are supposed to do, which is like not draw attention to themselves, even in spectacle. I'm just supposed to be really.
I think the big worm is supposed to draw attention to itself.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like story wise, but not just like,
know,
wow,
just
that's
absolutely.
really good CGI. Like that we've said that about a million movies because it's obviously fake. In this, it's not. The visual effects. When you're complimenting the movie aesthetically, it's normally about like it just looks beautiful because you don't know what's CGI and what's that new the background style they've been using since Mandalorian. Like it's all blended in really well.
Yeah.
I think
someone said, is the Mandalorian pushing boundaries because it used the volume? I'd say, yeah, because coincidentally, Greg Fraser was on the first season of Mandalorian. The first season of Mandalorian looks pretty good. And that's because Greg Fraser's on it, and Greg Fraser, for some reason, is the only person who knows how to use that technology correctly. And then he moved on to the Batman, used the volume again, and then they left Mandalorian, and then they plummeted in terms of production quality because he wasn't there to tell them how to use the volume. Yeah.
I should just stress as well, because backers might have missed the setup. So we're not arguing that Dune is a bad film. What we're talking about is Dune comparable to something like Empire Strikes Back, which is where the sort of the new things comes from, in the way that you could make the case at least that Empire Strikes Back does new things. But we're talking a lot about the technical elements, and I think that's the same point that's made of something like Avatar, which has come up before. Which behind the scenes, behind the camera, on a technological level, it probably is doing new things. There's a reason Dune looks as good as it does, better than Avatar by some considerable distance. It's just whether or not doing new technological things makes for a film which shifts boundaries in the way that, say, Empire Strikes Back did, I think is a different question. Because ultimately you still have to do something with that technology.
I'd say like the first Star Wars pushed boundaries more than Empire did in terms of technology, right?
No, they both did. So
yeah.
What did Empire do?
Amazing. The Hoth.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Incredible.
They moved away from the miniatures were used in a better way. The backgrounds were integrated better. I would say with Dune though, it's not necessarily that it's moving it forward, because I think that we've been in a regression for a little while. We've been in a technological regression where people were falling back on stuff so much it was making it look worse. And I almost feel like this is a reverse goalpost movement. They're putting it back to where it should be right now. And then now we can go forward.
Yeah,
that's the way I'm looking at it. Is this is what a lot of the movies that came out in the last 5 or so years should have been looking like, and they weren't for some reason.
Reshoots of visual effects.
Yeah, I mean whether it be that or overworked people or whatever the reasoning may be. This is what the standard. What this looks like is probably what the standard should have been for the last either half decade to full decade, and it's been going backwards. And so whether or not you consider that pushing it forward, because it's really just pushing it back to where it was.
Yeah, it's like the Hobbit trilogy, and how the gimmick was like 48 frames per second, and they also wanted to shoot it for 3D. It's a situation where they feel like because there's a new thing, they have to use it because it's the new thing. And you could apply this to the volume as well. Greg Fraser, who helped invent the volume, knew what its purpose was, and therefore made it look great in the first season of Mandalorian and the Batman. And I'm pretty sure there's just a couple shots in Dune that look like they used the volume. Like when you have Greg Fraser who knows how to use the technology, it'll be good. It's a good implementation of that. And then you just give monkeys the wrenches, and you just say, hey, go crazy on this. They'll just use the technology wherever they want. Like a bunch of Marvel movies that look terrible because they all use a bunch of CGI. That's a good example, too, of people just using stuff because they think it's the cool new thing, and it's easier to make and produce a product. And then
streamline. Like you're talking about streamlining.
Yeah, it's streamlining rather than actually using the technology for its strengths. People see CGI as like a bad thing. They we must do 100% practical visual effects. It's like, no, like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 exists. Like that's a really good implementation of the technology, and it's done really, really well. It's just like implemented well. And I think this movie is an implementation of like all like in terms of all technicalities, is like probably one of the best implementations of all the technologies involved with it. Like Greg Fraser knows what he's doing. The costume design too, incredible. Soundtrack, incredible. Like sound effects, incredible.
Yeah,
It feels like
agreed.
everyone knows what they're doing and is just doing it well. It sounds super simple, but yeah, I think Dark Hour said it best.
Yeah.
It's like
I think
it's finally the goalpost is being put back, and even I'd say putting a little like it's like 2 steps forward in a sense, because now we know what movies can look like.
And I think if you go to the Greg Fraser, what is it, fan club website, you will see that Andrew is indeed the president.
Dude, he's so good at his job. Okay, I praise this man.
I'm just
He can
messing with you because
save a
you
movie.
mentioned him a couple of times, and I'm just like, oh, you know, this is. But yeah, no, he definitely did a fantastic. I didn't realize that he was on all those other projects. I don't pay attention to
He was on
the visual artists quite as much as you do. So if I'm hearing you say that, I defer to you automatically. So.
He was on Rogue One, the 2 Dunes, the Batman, Vice, The Creator. There's a couple other ones,
Okay,
but
yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
these
these
are
all for the most part pretty, solid to great visual films. So,
oh yeah, he don't miss.
Of the ones you mentioned, the one that I had issue with probably had nothing to do with him, and that was the de-aging or recreation of people in Rogue One. But he probably had nothing to do with that. So
he was like, "Oh, you're recreating him? Okay. I guess I'll storyboard this and shoot this for you, but I don't know how I feel."
It's gonna look like a PS2 cutscene at certain points, but it's fine.
I said that was still impressive though. If you compare, the de-aging in Rogue One to Tron Legacy, and Tron Legacy only comes out, is it like 3 or 4 years before? And in that time, you've gone from Tron Legacy to Rogue One quality, and then it's sort of it seems to have slowed down a bit because I don't think that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny looked much better than Rogue One. But then you get to like the Mandalorian's redone version of Luke Skywalker, which is an improvement again. So like
Rogue One wasn't de-aging though; it was literally recreating a person from old footage.
The Corridor crew, they had their video about that this week. Rogue One, Gareth Edwards was on.
Yeah.
He was actually on it.
Yeah.
He was on it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave the
he
show
said
now. I gotta
that
go watch some.
the main thing that let the Grand Moff Tarkin down was the lighting from the original to the Rogue One. It was the lighting.
Interesting. What did
lighting
is that
is the
what
biggest
Gareth
problem.
Edwards said?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was their opinion on it or consensus? I mean, I know everyone kind of thinks it's not great, but I didn't know if they had any contributions.
I think they said the Rogue One was kind of moody type of lighting, whereas Star Wars back in the day, it was like, proper.
I think that's
lighting.
what helped set it
Proper
apart.
set
I like that
lighting.
about it.
Yeah.
Like
the
it still
lighting
felt
is-
in the Star Wars world, but felt like its own thing too, which is the balance you want, I would think.
I think especially for Indiana Jones, like it Dial definitely shows that it's just lighting is the biggest issue for that technology, at least now. There's a couple shots where the lighting's very flat, and I'm like, okay, you're doing something here. And then there's the shot where they just shine a big light on them.
Shadows.
Oh yeah,
Because
there's that shot when they have them.
I was gonna say I've been watching Masters of the Air, and a lot of the World War II aircraft are CGI. And while the aircraft look pretty good, if they're on the runway, it's the shadows that just don't look right. So yeah.
I'd agree with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
That's not a very pretty looking show.
No.
Did anything
like
else
a high
anybody wanted
school
to?
play.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. I fucking know. Season 2 is coming. We'll save the invective for season 2.
We're gonna make so much money, Platoon.
Yo, so much. Yeah. I mean, I've got to finish reviewing season 1. Oh God. And yeah, anything else that anybody wanted to bring up on Dune, or shall we round off with some super chats?
I'm good.
It's
on
gonna
my
win
Dune
film
pick.
of the year.
Should everybody go see the movie?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be one of the best, if not the best, film of the year because there's a lot. It's a very sparse year, so this might be the
Simple,
one chance
though.
you get to. Yeah, there's a few
If-
here and there that might be good, but
I
Will it
think
sweep the board for the Oscars?
probably at least
No.
in
It
individual
should.
categories.
No,
if
it
you-
won't.
It should.
if you go in no expectations,
Costume,
I think you'll
please.
enjoy the movie.
Hmm.
The first one didn't win
Yeah.
costumes and
Oh.
time because the Atreides are dripped out of their mind. But this one needs to win costume, or I'm rioting and burning the Oscars down. And cinematography.
Next week we need to. I think by the end of week 3 or 4 it'll be. So we'll need to recap what our box office predictions were and come back around.
Yeah, I do have those written down somewhere. I
Yes.
think, yeah, it's doing well. Well, that was, I guess,
40?
fine, fuck it. We'll delay Super Chats a second. It was a 44% drop off second
Yeah.
weekend
Yeah.
from a high base. So I'm assuming, they said you know more about this than I do, but that's quite good.
It's okay. It's like, it's fine. It's not
But-
amazing, but it's also not like bad or in that category at all. It's
I think it's been knocked off top spot now by Kung Fu Panda 4.
Yes.
yeah, and it's
movie's
really not
terrible, by
that
the way.
high of a base. Like $80 million.
Oh, I was gonna go
pretty
check it
good,
out.
but it's
It's
not
not good.
like
Watch the other Kung Fu Panda movies. Those are so much better.
I've already seen all 3 of them. So
All right, well, get your dreams crushed.
Yeah, no, I'm still going for, I think I said 750.
we were all in that
Dune
general
Part 2.
range, I think.
yeah.
But yes, we'll revisit it in a week or two, and we'll see. We still need to do that for Madam Web as well. I think I win for that one. In
It's
that
like
I
it's still 90
predicted
million?
the lowest amount of money, and it's near the lowest amount.
Haven't made 100 yet.
Oh, maybe Cynic. Did he say you might have said 90? Actually, you might have won. We'll see. We'll see eventually when I find wherever that note is. I guess moving on, yeah, we can round up with some super chats. And Brown, since I'm sure we'll be doing this on your channel, do you want to take this one away?
Yes, okay. Right, here we go then. TGV Monster for $5. Thank you, my friend. Who's ready for the Acolytes by Weinstein, former henchman, I mean assistants. I'm sure that it'll save Star Wars. Can't wait. The Acolyte's going to be fantastic.
I'm genuinely looking forward to it, just for the streams. The Wednesday
The
streams are
lulz.
really, yeah. Anyone in chat who hasn't done so already, go subscribe to Brown's channel. I think you've got playlists, haven't you, for the Mando and the Ahsoka?
Yeah, they're all
Wednesday
there.
night
Yeah,
breakdowns.
Ruben
And
Johnson.
Obi-Wan. Didn't
Yeah.
Obi-Wan have one?
Yeah,
as
they're
well?
all there. Obi, everything. It's all there.
Yeah, they are honestly some of my favorite streams to have been on. So well worth a rewatch, and definitely when the Acolyte comes out.
Yeah.
I think I said in your channel, it'll be really depressing if it turns out to be quite good, because
Yeah.
I've got used to laughing at it now.
Just to spite us. Yeah, I can see it.
Cynic, do you want to take this one for us?
Waylon Bucephus for $1.99. Oppenheimer or Dune Part 2? Oppenheimer.
Dune Part
Okay.
2.
Controversial? I don't know.
I think I'd rather watch Dune Part 2. I think it's the more
I-
enjoyable movie for me, at least. But Oppenheimer is also good.
I don't want to answer this because
Such
I feel like
different
different genre at the
genres.
moment.
But
But
such
yeah,
different genres,
honestly, they're
too.
about even to me. I would watch either. They're about the
Yeah.
same length. I'd watch either of them again. So they're pretty even. I know that's a bit of a cop out, but I find them to be on par with each other.
Because I watched the first part of Dune, it's going to be part 2. Oppenheimer was great, but
Yeah.
Children of
Oppenheimer is
Oppenheimer.
good.
I
Children
love
of-
sci-fi.
Yes,
Platoon.
sci-fi is good.
Wait, did we get Platoon's answer?
Mine
Platoon.
is going to be Dune Part 2, definitely.
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
Well, you also you haven't seen Oppenheimer yet, still.
No, but there's a reason. I think.
Oh,
Because,
wait,
like,
you haven't fucking
What?
seen Oppenheimer
No,
yet?
I've still not got around to seeing it. I don't have time, and I'm not sufficiently interested
Excuses.
that I can push lots of other things out of the way to see it.
what?
All right.
So like I will see
Not
it at some
interested, that's
point.
wild.
It's just I'm invested in Dune in a way that I'm not that invested in even the subject of Oppenheimer.
enough.
So TGV Monster for another $4.99. Thank you very much. While I like Dune Part 2, Lynch Dune is a personal favorite. The Baron's death in Lynch Dune was more epic. It's actually been so long since I've seen it. I don't remember anything except Sting wearing pants. How does the Baron die in
Lynch's Dune
the
is so
Lynch film?
terrible. Doesn't the toddler come up and kill him? Right?
That's believable.
I forget it.
Yeah, I could imagine that would happen. Yes.
I actively forget that movie because oh god, the soundtrack is good though. It's made by Toto. It's actually a banger. Like the worm riding track. Oh, that's a banger. I'm gonna put that in one of my videos for no reason.
That's such a strange choice for a soundtrack for a Dune film. Like the band that does Africa.
Yeah.
Is okay. Fair enough. I'm gonna have to rewatch it. I've been putting it off, but I'm sure I'll have to. Take a 610 for $5 when you join as a member on Platoon's channel. You just get a recording of him saying, "You lose, you get nothing. Good day, sir." This is true. That is what you get. That's your reward.
Good day, sir.
Andrew, do you want to take this one for us?
Sure. Film Comics Explained for an Arizona $20. I'm usually not up when you guys are live due to being located in Australia, no Arizona. It's a real country, trust me. I doubt it. But just wanted to say thanks for the amazing podcast. Helps getting me through the week while making content. You're welcome.
Australia's a real country that really tries to kill you. The whole country.
It is.
Everything in it is trying to kill you
That
at all
place,
times.
listen, when God was making the earth, he threw everything that could kill you into Australia.
There's some quicksand, some killer spiders. We have
Platypus that's like a beaver with a duck tail or
crocodiles.
a duck beak, and
It's probably the worms from Dune are in Australia somewhere. It's a big desert, so I could see that.
I'm going. I'm gonna ride a worm. Finally.
Dark Hour, do you want to take this one for us?
Sure. I'd recommend watching or reading Attack on Titan, as the latter seasons tackle similar themes to Dune. Although, in my humble opinion, or honest opinion, whichever one you're going for, the ending is a bit bungled. I haven't actually watched Attack on Titan yet. So
I think Attack on Titan, this Titan show, it finally ended. So I think I might start watching it. I've never watched.
I usually with anime, I usually wait till it's over because of the lag, and I just can't stand waiting that long. So now, if it is over, I'll probably check it out now.
Yeah, that's how
I tend to do that. Except that then you get stuff like One Piece that goes for about 3,000 episodes, and I just think, nah, no.
I'll just wait for Netflix to make the live action show.
Yeah, the live action One Piece was good. Shame about the Avatar thing, but I'm not watching 5,000 episodes of that either.
I didn't say who it was because I have no idea how to pronounce Seki
I think it's Seki Jokes 451.
Seki Jokes.
Yeah, and that's $5 real money, right? That's
no, it's £5 real pounds. I think
Seki Jokes real money.
£5 real money.
That's
Sorry,
actual money.
Pounds.
And a follow-up also from Seki Jokes 451 for another £5. Thank you very much. It's rather brave of them to portray the main character engaging in a lesbian relationship, considering how said main character creates space Islam. Yes.
Wait, what? Yes.
That's a Timothy Chalamet is not very masculine joke.
I think that was going to be my read of that as well. That's one of that was the discourse that did a little while on Twitter, didn't it? There were a few people who decided to complain that Timothy Chalamet doesn't look like an actual space marine, and so it's a bad film. It's not believable because he's not like John Cena. It's like, that's not the point of the character or the story. And actually, the description matches pretty closely to the book. And also, it's Timothy Chalamet, so fuck you.
Well, that was, I had said in my review, and I had also said on this show that I would have liked to see him, maybe not necessarily bulk up to, like you said, John Cena, but maybe get a little bit more like lean muscular as it went along to signify that he was going from being kind of this pampered Duke's son to being a warrior. They could have visually done it a little bit, and they didn't have to bulk him up because I know you said that the food is very not.
But he lives. There's two things. He lives in a desert, so there's no protein shakes. And in the second place, he actually loses weight in the books because most of the people, and it's one of the things the Fremen note about any off-worlders, is they come with a lot of water fat on them, which no one who lives in the desert has. Ooh. So actually, most of the characters lose weight and become skinnier and lither because they don't have.
Trust me, I know a thing or two about losing water weight, and you look very, very lean, and your muscles are very visible when you lose a lot of water weight. So
Zendaya looked very full-faced.
Does she?
What? She's a twig.
No, in the movie, she looks very full-faced.
I think that was
Really?
the costume, was the way it was pulling, like the way.
Yeah,
I think
especially at
that's
the
really what
end
it
with
was.
that bulky armor, that collar
Yeah.
pushing up. But yeah, she's a twig.
Because she weighs like 80 pounds. Like she's not.
Yeah, she
Amistad
weighs more than
for
Timothy.
100 North Korean things. Grains of rice, I assume, from North Korea.
100 grains of rice.
Platoon, if you ever run out of your amazingly fun insults in your regular reviews, would you consider reviewing some of the rare films / series that are good, like Arcane Season 2 will come out this year? My answer to the list is always my answer to the list. I review what comes out when it comes out if it interests me, which is why I'm doing Dune next, which I quite liked, and I'll be doing probably Rings of Power or something after that, which I won't like. Yeah, I don't look for good things to review. It's just, is it in front of me right now? Arcane might get one though, because I wasn't on YouTube when season 1 came out, so might be an opportunity to revisit it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Likewise, House of the Dragon.
We're reviewing season 1 with Jay.
That's a good point. Yeah, we are doing on Diabolical Souls Presents. We are actually doing every Thursday night. We're going through all of season 1 of Arcane, which has been really good fun. So actually,
coming up next week, I think
it is. Yeah, we're fucking 8 already. Oh no, does that mean there's only 2 left, including that? We're nearly finished.
Yeah,
that was a great super, by the way, that it said, well, your amazingly fun insults, and meanwhile you're like, yes, North Korean dollars. he got one inside of the there was more than he paid for.
Cynic, do you want to take this one?
Mega Spidey Man for an Earth $5. Hi, would you guys want all Dune books adapted or all Frank Herbert's? Who would you want to make them and why? I have no idea about any of this shit.
So isn't that because Frank Herbert only wrote 6 of the books, right? And there's like 20 of them or something like that.
Yeah, his son takes over, and his son is not particularly talented.
From what I've read, I know I haven't done too much research, and I also just kind of randomly talked to people. It wasn't really the same as with Tolkien, where it was kind of a cash grab as it went along. Like, at least from what I've heard, his son was genuinely trying to complete the story. He just wasn't particularly talented.
Yeah, and Frank Herbert himself gets higher and higher the more he goes on, to the point where like it's been so long since they've even touched them. I've never completed, I think, anything after 3, which I probably will do at some point. Well, no, Leto, his son, the God Emperor, becomes that's pretty trippy. I would be happy if it, I suppose, finished after Messiah. But it's part of the interesting backstory to the publication is that the original magazine that he was publishing through didn't want to carry on with it because he actually, it's the hero, fucking words. Frank Herbert says that the difference between a hero and anti-hero is just where you end the story, which is, again, one of the things he has in common with someone like George R.R. Martin. So he got to the point, and the editor knew that the story was going to continue and that he was going to effectively have to kill his own hero, which obviously he does. So he didn't want to publish the next one. So Herbert had to take it away and do the next thing. But that's because he didn't really have an end in mind at the time. He was just, well, this is a story which naturally continues. And I don't have the end that I'm writing to. This is just where it has to logically go. So I'll do as many as I feel like doing. And he did 6 and carked it. And then his son took over with some other guy and did about 9, I think. There's loads of them.
What?
Which, yeah,
9 books
honestly, there's a lot of them. I can't remember exactly how many, but there are a lot. There's prequels, tie-in novels, and like sequels as well.
Wow.
Loads of it.
Children's picture books too with worms.
Probably. Wouldn't be surprised.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's like I'll stop talking.
You don't have to.
So many.
It's like, no,
Carry
go on.
bro.
Finish your thought. It's like what?
It's not funny.
Oh, but see, now you make me think it might be, but just embarrassingly. So you're gonna have to do it.
No.
Okay.
Pussy.
Yeah, you pussy. You're not coming back. Cryoman selects for 20 Mexican dollars. I don't know what that's worth once you get it across the border, but probably worth something. Bar is so low, I just want to see the budget on screen.
Mm.
Yeah,
You
that's
do
an
see that
element.
budget.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that make Dune. It's an enjoyable watch because of how it looks. It is a fantastic looking film, unlike every Marvel thing.
I watch it and it's kind of like Lord of the Rings, where it's like, each movie is $100 million. It's like, yeah, but how? This movie looks so expensive.
Yeah.
And this was like
And-
190, which still,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
blown
large,
away by
but
what they've been able to do.
at least it looks like it's money reasonably well spent. This one is about your boy Andrew, so I think you probably have to take this one.
Boy.
Who? Oh, Case the Ace, 128 for 4.99. Just Ken got robbed because they couldn't let Barbie's only Oscar go to Ryan Gosling. Is Saltburn just a poor man's talented Mr. Ripley? Love you guys. Thank you.
I don't remember
Dude,
any
Brian-
licking cum in Talented Mr. Ripley.
Have you seen Saltburn yet?
No,
Not.
no, I haven't. I have no. I don't think I will either. I don't. It doesn't appeal to me. Has anyone here seen it?
No, I haven't.
No.
Vex did.
No.
Vex said it was good. And
Yeah.
who else did? Stupenzo. Stupenzo also thought it was good.
Okay.
So, it
Well,
could be a
if-
wild card. I don't know.
Maybe if I ever have free time again, maybe I'll put it on. But there's a lot of
No,
things on
watch
my list. I
Oppenheimer
think
first.
Oppenheimer is slightly higher on the list than Saltburn at this point, as
I
you
can't
know,
believe you've
things I
not
need to watch.
seen that.
I already know how it ends. I'm going to use the Melvin excuse. It's what's the
Alright.
point? I know the story already.
Oh my god! I was.
But you
Pulling
saw,
my
but you
finger.
saw Dune, and you knew how that one ended.
I was riffing.
Yeah,
I was
you read-
memeing.
Bro, you read the books. Why'd you watch the movie?
Yeah, no, I like that story though. I don't want to learn about nuclear communists like fucking Oppenheimer. And finally, Andrew Clark for $2. Don't they have burritos in the desert? I do. I've never been to a desert, if you don't count like Birmingham. So, does anyone know?
Birmingham.
I mean, I guess not in the Dune Desert, they don't, but in a
Get
lot
them
of
down
I
to
mean,
others.
they have-
Texas.
I like
They eat
burritos.
Texas, Arizona, Mexican Desert, yes.
Mhm.
They just eat drugs. Like it's just like this like slop that has spice in it. At least in the movie. I don't know about the books. So I don't know. I guess schlop.
A late one, Seki Jokes 451 for $2 from somewhere. Just to be clear, I love tomboys and twinks. Good day. All right.
I agree.
Fair
Yes, very good.
Both is good.
Why, Lord, why Birmingham?
It's more of a cultural desert than a geographic desert, but it still is quite deserty.
I did all my
love-
raving days in Birmingham.
I
Amazing.
love how
This is-
Brown held on
that's-
to that, by the way. He was like,
Amazing
I gotta
place.
ask about Birmingham.
It's like, how
What about
dare
I think it might have gone
Amazing.
downhill since the 1970s, though. It's just my impression.
90s
My dad works there. He hates it. So
and the
that's
zeros and the noughties.
okay. Well,
I
things
am
have
old,
happened.
but I'm not that old. Bastard.
I would say I'd pay it a visit, but I don't want to go to Birmingham, so no. That brings us to the end of the super chats, though, and I think the end of the show. Except, of course, this is the chance for everybody to plug your things. So, Dark Hour, we'll go from you first. What have you got coming up, and where can we find you?
Well, like I said earlier, right now in the description, I have the repost channel for Two Hoes, our show, which our esteemed hosts will be on this week. We'll be talking about the Matrix. We have a really stacked panel for that. Not only do we have Cynic and Platoon, we also have Lofty, who is hanging out in the chat before, and Paul Chato. It's going to be probably a very long show, to be honest with you. That will be through my channel, my main channel, and then we repost on the channel that is in the description. Other than that, I am working on a video that's a little different. I kind of want to get away from reviews for a little bit, and I'm doing what I'm calling standing 8 count. It's not necessarily top 8, but just 8 observed of a specific. This one is action sequences that come out of nowhere in films. So that should be out probably within the next week or so.
Okay. Not that I've forgotten, but when are we doing the Matrix thing?
It's 1 p.m. Eastern on my channel. You're in a Twitter chat for that one. We'll drop the link for you. Don't worry.
Thank you. Yes, that'll be good. Also, yeah, sorry to confirm, I was not a virgin birth. Yep, fair enough. We're actually not leaving yet. Andrew Clark for $5, drawing a comparison between The Last of Us 2 and Dune. They would have had similar diets, but Abby was much bigger. If any, well, would they? There's still food in The Last of Us, isn't there? Like more than a desert planet.
Especially in Haiti.
Yeah, they didn't go full cannibal. Well, they did actually, some of them, didn't they? Yeah. You could take the Haitians' advice if you're really starving. If you get desperate, long pork is the way to go.
Yeah.
Brown, what is coming up on your channel?
We're doing the Wednesday stuff, pretty much similar to this. Sunday nights we do the musings, which is again similar to this. Saturday we're trying to do some movies. That's about it, really.
Good stuff. All of these links will, of course, be in the description on the re-upload channel. That's at BSUP YT if anyone isn't already subbed to it. Newly remonetized because, yeah, YouTube are incompetent. Andrew, what's coming up for you?
Not much. I just did my Dune video a couple days ago. It's been doing well. So if you want to check me out, go watch that. Other than that, I'll be on Diabolical Souls Presents for Arcane reviews for the next couple of weeks. The next 2 weeks, yeah. Because we're finishing that up. So and that's good TV to watch. So
yeah, when's your Temple of Doom video coming out? Speaking of good things to watch,
May 8th. That's the date.
May 8th. Ooh.
Oh,
because that's the anniversary.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Well, it's the anniversary, so I want to rain on everyone's parade.
Good plan. Cynic, what's coming up for you?
Tomorrow I have a video coming out about how Sony's fucking up the Spider-Verse or the shitty Spider-Man universe.
I hate
billion different names. And it's why I call it that. Just so you know, just to make you angry.
Well, no, you say that and it reminds me of Into the Spider-Verse. And I'm like, no, but that's a good movie.
Well, this is their doing. And then I'll be on the Matrix stream. I'll be streaming from Maine though, so my audio quality might not be incredible again. Sorry.
It's fine. We have a huge panel, so
yeah, I'll contribute when it's necessary.
Yeah.
But it is the Matrix, so I'll probably be yapping up a storm with the shittiest audio. I'm sorry ahead of time.
Yapping.
It's fine.
It's the way it is. And what about you, Platoon? Where are you going to be?
Where am I going to be? I don't know.
Watching Oppenheimer.
This is why I need reminders of where I'm going to be. Like basically the day before I'm supposed to be there. Yeah, yes, unironically. Thursdays, for Diabolical Souls Presents for the Arcane Breakdowns. Video-wise, the Dune script is in progress. I don't know exactly. I've got a rough idea that I'm hoping this will be out sort of March. When are we now? 12th?
We're in March
11th.
Well, it's the 12th for you because you were already past midnight.
Yeah, the real world with real time that's when it is. I'm gonna hazard a guess and say maybe March 24th. But given that the script starts, as I've said before, in the 18th century, it might be longer. We will see. Eventually, there will be a Dune video. And while my main editor works on that, I'll probably start scripting something else. But yeah, there should be another video in a couple of weeks or so. But otherwise, just keep an eye out on the Twitter for all of the stream stuff that we shall be doing. And that is the end of the show. So thank you very much to chat for sticking with us. And thank you to the lovely panel as always. And to Vex, who couldn't be bothered to stay with us, even as she tried her best to get us demonetized with actual swastika boobs. So, yeah.
And cannibalism.
Blurring those out before the re-upload. But that brings us, that's the end. Yeah, thank you, everyone. We will see you probably this time next week. And enjoy your stuff. Have a good time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.